All right, here's a question to our listeners today. Get you thinking before the episode. What if oxygen is the most addictive drug in the world and withdrawal just kills you in 3 minutes?
3 minutes?
Yeah.
As in the time it takes for brain death to set in without oxygen.
Oh.
God damn, buddy.
I have a story for this.
Oh?
Yeah.
All right. Before you get started, let's do a quick introduction. I'm Big Billy. I'm drinking a coffee again. We have a special guest on the episode. He'll introduce himself when we get there.
And I'm Chris, and I just ran out of beer.
Oh.
Sad boy.
I'm sorry, Chris. It's a rough time in your life.
This is terrible.
I'm Frank, and as usual, I brought the goods with the content.
And I'm Sean, and I showed up for beer.
I'm Jake, and have all the beer you like, buddy.
Awesome.
Jesus Christ. We really do look like a goddamn... Like, if you ordered us a little differently, we would be like the evolution of bearded, brown-haired white guy.
We do have every gradient in the room.
Exactly. And, like, we put on weight, too, as you go from unbearded to more bearded. Sean, who's 145 pounds, then Chris, then Frank, then Jake, then me. It's unbelievable. This is fucking ridiculous.
This is so silly.
Oh
We should play the Powerball.
Oh, I forgot to check my Mega
300
Millions
million.
ticket.
We should gamble.
I was thinking, like, if I won that much money,
do it.
life would be so boring because, like, all the struggle that I occupy myself with, like, trying to get money in advance.
You're
of
an
my life,
idiot.
It'd be over.
You're a fucking
It sounded
idiot.
like you said, I know you didn't say this, but it sounded like you said, all the struggle I have with getting money for meth.
Oh,
That's I thought I heard that.
No,
Well, I mean, he has other, priorities besides math.
I wouldn't be so fat if I was on meth. I would also probably wouldn't have so many teeth.
You'd have
I would
much
cut
less
weight.
teeth.
Cut weight by getting rid of those teeth. Sean, you had a story about oxygen withdrawal.
I work in the medical field, and we recently had somebody just choke on food, and she just literally died in front of me within seconds, went blue, and for about 10 minutes we were working on her, and we could not get air into her. We sent her out. She comes back from the hospital like 3 weeks later.
You did revive her in front of you. She did get
No,
revived.
the EMTs came, and they had to intubate her.
Mm-hmm. What's intubating?
They shove a tube down your throat, get directly into your lungs, and pump air in there.
Mm-hmm.
But they were pulling gunk of like tons of food out, and
Was she like shoveling food into her face?
I don't know. I was called in there because she wasn't breathing, but this was like 10, 15 minutes we were working on her, and we could not get air into her. She came back like 2 weeks later from the hospital, completely normal.
Except she can speak Japanese.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And she's also a Japanese woman with a different name.
Whoa.
so that was longer
the
than
same person.
longer than 3 minutes.
A little bit.
Yeah,
But-
it's insane, dude. You know what's interesting? You told me the story before. I didn't know this about intubation. When they get that little like air tube down into you, it's like, how small is it? It's like super
It's
small.
super small.
It's like you don't. I thought it'd be like a big plastic tube, like a straw or something. Nope, it's a little teeny, and that's all you need.
As long as
Oh, I
it's
have a
air.
story about that too. So, years ago, I broke my ankle and I had to get like surgery. They had to put like screws and shit in me to put me back together again. And I had to and since I was young enough, they had to take them out because I was like still growing. So, the second surgery, they gave me too much anesthesia
Oh shit!
and they couldn't wake me up. And so what happened was I bit down on the tube and they were like trying to like yank this tube out, but I bit down so hard on that tube that they couldn't get it out of my mouth. They like brought my mom in. They're like, "Hey, talk to him. Maybe your voice will wake him up." They just could not get me up.
Yeah, oh man, what a setup! Could not get me up. But I already had this joke. The dentist, his dentist, went on to become lead singer of Evanescence. Wake me up! Can't wake up!
She's a
Dying of fire.
dentist?
She used to be.
Dying of fire.
Holy shit.
All right, now
You're
to the
dead to me.
content. Chris, as I
Hi.
make horrible mouth sounds on the microphone. Chris, What did you tell us about Spotify? Now, I know this might not be super interesting to our video game listeners, but
none of it is. That's why they don't come back.
God damn you. No, it's pretty interesting, especially people who are listening to us are other content creators, because a lot of our friends who listen to stuff have their own thing. So go ahead, tell them what you found out about Spotify there.
So Spotify recently announced that they are going to host podcasts and even just music creators, just anything that you want to put out there, they're going to host for free on their platform.
That sounds like an awesome idea.
TGNA coming to Spotify real soon.
Yeah.
They must have hired Amazon Web Services so that they could host a lot more for the same price.
Probably.
So I was like thinking about this. It makes a lot of sense, because when you're dealing with like major name like musicians, they've got fucking record labels and shit, and you got to come up with licensing deals. You got to pay them for each play or whatever. We don't have any goddamn representation, and we're putting free content up there, and they're like, listen, leave SoundCloud, which charges you money for this stuff, come to Spotify for free, and then we get tons of thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of free content. What a great move. If you can afford to host this stuff, what a great move. And if their sorting algorithms are strong enough, then
it'll
they can
sort us right to the bottom.
Yeah, they can weed out the bad stuff.
But I have noticed that since I saw that article, and I've been using Spotify for years. I have Spotify Premium. I pay for it because I hate advertising.
Also, it's like the best value in all of the streaming services.
It's awesome.
I think.
Yeah,
it's $5 a month.
Yeah,
It was 10.
it's 10. It's 5 if you're a student.
That's why it's 5.
Yeah, it comes with Hulu too. By the way,
right. That's the main
student
thing.
discount. Yeah,
I mean, it's normal Hulu, so it's not like a huge thing, but
I have ad-free Hulu, and it's worth every bit of $12 a month. Holy moly, no ads ever.
You know, I don't want to be that guy, but you can get ad-free everything if you just get yourself a Pi hole.
that's true.
Pi hole is. Are you guys familiar with Raspberry Pis?
We discussed it briefly. I still don't know it, though.
So basically, a Raspberry Pi is a very, very small computer that you can load like a really light operating system onto. It's super cheap. You can get them for like $20-$30, and they can do pretty complex things. You can have them monitor a bunch of sensors. You can have them run levers and shit. I mean, people put them everywhere because they're so cheap. You just program a little computer and then you have it do something cool, right? But they're super small, super lightweight, and they're pretty capable. Well, if you get this Pi hole, you can put a program on there that all information flowing into your network flows through it, and it recognizes the signature of any sort of advertisement content and just strips it out. Right?
So if I remember it, do you actually hook this into your modem/router, or does it just go on your network?
I think, for some reason, I think you put it in front of your router, but that sounds like nonsense. That sounds like totally inaccurate. So I'm not really sure. But
Well, it would make sense if you're not necessarily the physical location of it,
right.
but to hook it up, like USB it directly into your modem first, right? And then everything that comes in goes there first, and then everything that goes out of your modem back out onto the interwebs gets scrubbed.
And that's the thing too. Not only does it stop all advertising data coming in, and it's different than ad blockers. I don't know if websites detect it as well because it's super cool. It scrubs all tracking data going out, so it checks it and it's like, nope.
It's much more effective than my method of keeping internet companies from tracking me by just entering nonsense information into forms.
Yeah, I mean, they can still look at your IP address. If they get a hold of your machine, like the time machine schedule, shit that I barely understand, but I know people like that use.
Yeah,
I use a VPN pretty often, but you can't use it with streaming services like Netflix and Hulu. They will stop you.
They did say they were going to do that because it was getting around region lock.
Yep.
Which is, it's just pretty bizarre.
But the thing is, like, even if it's like if we live in the U.S., if I use a VPN in New York, or a server, I should say, in New York, still says it just detects the fact that you're using a proxy type thing and just doesn't let you see whatever the content is, which is a little annoying.
Yeah, this whole I think it was
region lock is fucked.
It was Gabe Newell, the big guy in charge of Valve, which runs Steam, which is the avenue through which we get a lot of computers. It's basically the platform that where we get a lot of games. It's a platform that you can run on pretty much any machine, and it lets you download games. Really great service. He said that piracy is a service problem, right? If you provide good service with what customers want in a way that they can consume it, then they won't pirate. If you recall back before iTunes was a thing, which actually iTunes saved Apple, if you're ever curious about reading about that, I think one year it made up 97% of their revenue.
Wow. I would debate that because the iTunes is a reverse razor and blade business. Apple makes almost no money net off of iTunes. Yeah, it's a lot of revenue for them, but most of that goes to the content producer, and most of the rest of it goes to the credit card transaction processor.
You know what? Maybe this will be the topic that you and I dive into, because I just got schooled on something I thought I knew. It's really interesting. Anyway, take some time to read up on it and figure out which one of it's right.
I have a Harvard
probably
Business
Frank.
Review article that you can read if you would like.
Okay, cool. So basically what happened before they came out with iTunes is everybody was just taking music for free, and the Senate, as I recall, said to music companies, they're like, listen, you come up with an alternative for people to consume music that's legal and that you like, or else we're just going to fucking let them do this stuff. Like, you got like 6 months to come up with a solution. And the company's like, oh, shit. So then they came out with iTunes, and that's how we got that consumption model. I found now, I was just reading that piracy is on the rise again because everybody's got a goddamn streaming service, and they're all behind like these, sort of paywalls to go to get in and watch your favorite shit. And you're like, all right, well, I can pay $10 for Netflix, $12 for Hulu. I'm not going to pay $100 a month, just like cable, for 6 different streaming services. I'm just going to pirate this one thing I want to see. So we're ending up back to this. I mean, we were talking about the deluge of incredible content the other day.
Both incredible and dog shit.
Right. But I mean, there's just so much good stuff in both games and television and movies that you simply could not consume
and
at all.
Music and art and pick one. Yeah,
exactly.
So, I walked by a place on, I guess this was on 2nd Street on Friday night, Philadelphia, for those who don't realize that we are near Philly. So I was going out to dinner with Lisa, and we were walking from the SEPTA station on 2nd Street down to where the restaurant was. This is Old City. And as we're walking down 2nd Street, I take a right, and there's like this tiny little building with like 15 to 20 people. I mean, the whole like room was not much bigger than this room that we're in right now. So for those who don't know, we're in a pretty small room to fit 5 people in, and this place was not much bigger, and they had 20 almost. And it was like an art studio. It was like a little art gallery going on for Friday night in Philly. I mean, it was just right there. Small.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's like, they're common. It's like I've seen multiple of those throughout the city, and I never would have thought of Philly as a art city creation wise, right? It definitely has one of the best museums in the world, but for current modern art being produced now by smaller artists, I would not think of Philly as a place that would have
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of like, I can't remember any of them by name, of course, but there are a whole bunch of like quality art and music schools, like even just like little hole in the wall spots, but like a lot of great stuff comes out of there on the local scene. Pick an art medium, it's all here. It's a very artsy town.
Philadelphia is becoming rather cosmopolitan, I suppose, in the sense that like New York is very cosmopolitan. It is the
I personally think, and this might be slightly off topic from where we were going, but I just want to put it out there, I think Philly's about 15 years behind Boston, which is about 15 years behind New York. So if you think back to like the 80s, New York was a shithole. Like even Manhattan, the joke was, oh, you went to New York, did you get mugged? Even if you were in like Midtown Manhattan. That's unheard of now. Midtown Manhattan, like all of Manhattan, most of Brooklyn, which Brooklyn used to be like, you don't go there.
Right.
Now it's hipsterville, and actually it's like super expensive to live in most of Brooklyn.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So New York got cleaned up fairly quickly in terms of how bad it was to how nice it is now. I think the murder rate dropped by like 90%, which is in 30 years. Anyway,
That's nuts.
Boston was in a similar situation around the same time, but it took a little bit longer to turn that tide. So New York started to be in pretty good shape by the late 90s. Whereas Boston probably took until about the mid 2000s, but ever since then, it's super expensive to live there. It's really nice. Like the whole place is completely different than what it was 20 or 30 years ago. And we start to see that with Philly. I think right now with, Center City's nicer than it's ever been. They just got a brand new skyscraper that is now the tallest building in the world. Unfortunately, it is Comcast's, but whatever.
Tallest building in the what?
I'm sorry, tallest building in the city.
Mm.
Yeah. I may have said world, but obviously not.
You did say world. I'm pretty sure Dubai still has that.
Oh, 100% Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world. Anyway, but I mean, if you look at places like Northern Liberties and Fishtown, which used to be total trash 10 years ago, I mean, they're like, you walk there. I have friends that live in Fishtown. Every other block is under construction with old, shitty row homes being torn down and nice $350,000 or $400,000 townhomes going up.
Yeah, I moved out of the northeast of the city when I was a kid, and I went back there and like drove around to some of the other neighborhoods. And there's some really cool, big, like 3-story row homes that like have these huge sidewalks that you could like walk along. I was like, oh, this feels like a fucking neighborhood. Like what I think of in the movies with neighborhoods, like just people everywhere, and you can talk to them. And I sort of wonder. I think that's going on in the Fishtown area right now, but anyway,
yeah.
It was really interesting because like a lot of cities are doing better, and because the U.S. has really been shooting up. I mean, we've seen a lot of
dope.
What's that?
With dope.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of prosperity after this, after the Great Recession, I suppose, as we're calling it. But what I sort of found was that, and maybe I'm wrong. There seems to be a good plan of attack on taking generally undesirable locations and developing them into places that people want to live, and then they become hip and fashionable, and then
gentrification.
Well, it's interesting to watch because I think Pennsylvania as a whole has started to see how this can be done. And if you're unfamiliar with Pennsylvania, huge portions of it used to be coal towns or mining towns or steel towns or whatever.
That's farm too.
Yeah.
Or rural.
But not those. I was speaking specifically of towns, but like that doesn't really exist anymore. So if you look especially on the outskirts of Philadelphia and some of the smaller towns, you're seeing that this art scene is what people do to kickstart the appeal of these sort of rundown, low money towns, right? So you're like, all right, well, what the fuck? What can we do here? We've got all these big old buildings that were built when the town was booming in the 1800s. There's so much space. It's super cheap. Let's pull some art out here, right? Because people want to show their art, so they'll come out and they'll do it. And then people want to see art, so they'll travel for it. And it comes out and it's a nice thing. And people start coming out for this art, and then music, and then other businesses come in. And it seems to be like a really pretty slick way to start to get some revenue coming through a town. And it looks like Philadelphia did that after this recession. Caught in right on a good time to start. I mean, Philadelphia is like a huge comedy hub now, which I don't think it ever was in the past, right?
Helium, which is like the biggest comedy club in the city, I believe, has top name comedians every weekend pretty much.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like it was, I listened to Bill Burr talk because he has a podcast, the Monday Morning Podcast, and then one on Thursday. And he's like, it used to be like New York and Boston and California, and now Philadelphia is a huge comedy place, and it's a much different feel than like New York. It's like Philadelphia will like kind of bust your balls, but still give you an opportunity to get in and get some time, whereas it might be really hard in other places, or the other crowds don't react quite as well. And he says he's run into a lot of situations where people are like very sensitive to certain topics, and I don't think Philadelphia is like that. So it's pretty interesting. Like this stuff that's not like straight up industry, comedy, art, all that kind of stuff. Good list, right? Good list. Philadelphia sort of rode that wave, and other towns around it are doing it. But it's been pretty neat. I mean, Philadelphia started. I don't know if I guess every city's doing better, but Philadelphia really seemed to strike.
Not every city is doing better, but Philly is definitely on there.
Who's not doing better?
St. Louis, Cincinnati's actually all right, but Cleveland. Where else is really bad right now? A lot of the Florida cities aren't doing so hot. Pretty much a lot of the cities between the Appalachian Mountains and the Rocky Mountains are not doing so great. Chicago has some problems right now.
I wonder why that is. Is it like high gang presence and the fact that they're in like a flyover state?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with population drains, right? So the East Coast cities and the West Coast cities are experiencing a lot of incoming populations. They're getting a lot of young, educated people moving to them, and that it's kind of like almost a chicken and the egg problem where people are trying to figure out, are the people following the jobs or are the jobs following the people? And it doesn't really seem to matter so much as there are lots of young, educated people. The millennial generation is the most educated in history in the United States, and they are moving primarily to East and West Coast large cities, so jobs are there. And as you see those jobs increase for for educated people, you start to see average wages go up, and you start to see higher taxes going into the cities. And
we're seeing that in detail. Who was it? Amazon's up on their minimum wage or whatever to $15.
Well, that's still unskilled labor, though, right? This is a
yeah. I know you're talking
story.
Educated, but I just mean like on the whole. I mean, they're based in Seattle, which is on the West Coast, big city.
Exactly.
It's a case in point. What else? I can't remember, but there's other like specific data points happening that speak to that.
Well, you can go on like Glassdoor and put in a like a skilled role. You could, I don't know, like a agile coach or something, and just do the different cities and see how the wages change.
Yeah.
The unemployment rate.
Yeah.
Is the lowest it's been since '69.
Yeah, that is true.
That's what I was going to say.
So it's I'm of the opinion it's jobs. If there are good jobs, people will go there, right? Yeah. Especially if like eventually someone will catch on and be like, oh, it's so cheap to live out there right now. You know
I think you're starting to see that in the West Coast. So if you think of a place like Denver, right? Huge population boom over the past 20 years. I mean, it's unreal.
Well, that's
right?
I mean, that's where all the young people who I know who want to move out of like PA in this area, they're like, I'm going to Colorado. There's fucking weed there, and everybody's chill.
Yeah. And you see a lot of people moving from the really high cost areas of California and even some of the low cost areas of California to a place like Denver. So if you're in a place, I can't remember the name of the town, but Lisa and I took a Great American road trip from LA up to San Francisco last year when we went out to California, and I saw her home communist state. We drove through a town. We went to Sequoia National Park, and on the way there, we drove through a town. It looked like the meth capital of California, and I don't remember the name of it. I don't want to disparage it because it very well may be a decent place to live. But I think I looked up the population, and it was like 150,000 people, and I'd never heard of the town before. That's a big city in most other states, but in California, it's a drop in the bucket, right? And I thought to myself, like, who the hell would want to stay here? You know, because it reminded me of a bigger version of Pottsville where I grew up, just in California, in a drought. So it certainly didn't help that everything was drought brown around it, and it just looked dreary. But, you know, I look at a place like that, and if you want to escape that area, or if you grow up in LA or San Francisco or Bay Area and you're not in tech and can't afford to live there, Denver's not far away. It's a short plane ride back home to see your folks if you really care, and it at least up until recently is very affordable.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing I see with these like Pennsylvania towns. When I drive through them on my way to go hunting or whatever, I'm like, what does this town need to get some life back into it? Because they're really remote, and it's like it just sounds like you can't do it, right? Because as soon as you can get out, why wouldn't you? You go to the jobs. You can just drive to the other end of the state. You can drive down to Philadelphia and get a job and make a bunch of money. There's just nothing up there. Right? And since there's nobody up there making any money, the town is like run down and boring. And
I mean, it would even be challenging to set up a business that's more reliant on like modern sales and distribution models, right? Like, because it's still remote and you still have to get product somewhere. Even if you're going to put up servers and have some type of digital service, like, you know, the length of your internet cables and your bandwidth, like the geographical distance does play into it.
Yeah,
it's not nothing. So it makes every aspect harder no matter how you're taking.
I've thrown around that idea, like if I ever was in charge of a company, would I move up to an area like that? And the thing is, the only way that would work, and you could do that because the cost of living there is so cheap, you could lower your costs because you don't have to pay people as much. You just don't, right? I mean, you could, but you don't. But you'd have to have a real big sense of patience and you'd either have to train people from there or you'd have to wait for people to move to podunk nowhere in order to work those jobs. And, it'd be sort of an altruistic endeavor.
Yeah.
They'll figure their thing out.
I mean, the best approach, if you were determined, would be to educate the local population who have to be willing and savvy enough to do whatever you need them to do. And obviously that gets harder and harder the more technical your work is.
Yeah. Well, I always think of it from like an IT perspective, like developers or whatever. I think most people who grew up after 2000, like they are so technology literate that if they had the interest in becoming developers, it would be almost trivial to teach them, right? Because all this tech just makes sense. And you're like, oh, this is how you actually do this. You want to write an app, you just open this. I
think you're overestimating the generation, and it's from a position of you grew up in a by no means, I'm not even going to say, well, I mean, you grew up in a population of a decent school district that wasn't in the middle of nowhere, right? And knowing people that I went to school with, right? People know how to use Facebook and the internet and Amazon, right, to order stuff and trash, like hate on other people or, tag pictures of whatever they just did. But they barely know how to read in a lot of cases.
Well, that's a good point, but I guess I'm sort of coming at it from the point of view, not to disparage my own profession, but I don't think basic level of software development is all that difficult to get into, in that it's like the high level guys who like save the day at the companies at which I've worked, like they know some fucking wild shit. But to get in there and to break into the industry, it's not like really all that complex. And I think if you have an interest and, an average level of high school education, you can do it with a little bit of guidance.
I would definitely agree. I mean, I have to program at work. Mm-hmm. I have no real formal development training, right? I took like computer science 1 and 2, which was like Java 1 and 2, I think, when I was in college because I was a math major and you're required to. And when I was in high school, I learned a little bit of VBA, but working in finance, right? VBA, Python, and SQL are very popular. And a lot of times it's just kind of necessary to know how to use them, because if you want to be able to do stuff, a lot of times you're working with really large sets of data and just lots of repetition, and you need to be able to automate that. Otherwise, you're just never going to be able to get your shit done in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah. So I pretty much taught myself how to write. I mean, I knew a little bit of VBA. I brushed that up. I hadn't used it since I was like 16, but brushed it up, figured it out. Never heard of SQL before, learned that. Although, to be fair, I don't think that SQL is a very complicated language. It's pretty basic. Once you get the hang of it, it's really just how creative can you be with it. Right. And then Python is kind of similar to SQL in that there's not a whole lot to it. It's just being able to use it in a very creative way.
No, I mean, there is definitely a certain type of, I don't want to sound like I am very smart, like douchebag, but it's like there's definitely a certain type of mind that is beneficial when you're going to those careers. Like,
I think you have to like solving puzzles, right? Some people are puzzle solvers. They like to do that.
Yeah.
And if you like to do that, then chances are you'll be good at it. But you know what? There are some people that are like really like micro detail oriented, and I guess that kind of goes to tech as well, because like if you miss a semicolon at the end of a line, like, you know, you got to go back and it'll break. Yeah. And but I still think that the problem, like, those are two different skill sets, and programming and development in general lends itself better to the puzzle solvers than the people who like can really scrutinize tiny details.
It's funny, like at work I do the quality assurance automation, and so I write software that tests other software, and then I go in and I'll manually test programs that my coworkers make, and they're like, they'll come over to me and they'll shake their head and they'll be like, dude, you have a fucking talent for breaking a program that you have never seen before. Because they're like, the one guy, John, I keep trying to get him on the show. He's like, I remember working on this one project. I would fix it and I'd be like, there's no goddamn way that Bill's going to break it. And in 5 minutes, you'd have a problem. And I was just like, it's just, I don't know. It's just a way of thinking that I'm good at. So there's definitely, I guess, some talent in there. But Sean, you started, you're a nurse right now, but when you started going to secondary education, you were interested in, was it computer engineering or computer science?
It's computer engineering.
Okay. And you said you ended up not liking some aspect of it. What was that about? What didn't you like?
I just find it boring.
What did you find boring?
Programming. We'd have 2-hour chunks of lab, I think it was called, whatever. But you program whatever they wanted you to program, and 10 minutes in, I'd just be sitting there and be like, I can do this. Or I could be doing anything else right now. And I just thought about that, and I'm like, do I really want to do this for 8 hours a day for the rest of my life if I can't even do 10 minutes of it?
Yeah, see, that really shocked me, because you and I, we went to school together for like 15 years or something, and we both did similarly well and similar, you know, we were in the same AP courses and stuff. And then you came out and you got into development and you're like, I fucking hate it. Yeah. Which is funny because I love it.
It's funny though, because I mean, now that I have a degree in a completely different field, I was going through my basement. I actually have a bunch of the stuff from computer engineering, like the breadboard, circuit, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And it fascinates me. I just couldn't do it in an academic setting.
Yeah, you know, I really do believe that a lot of the enjoyment of the stuff that we encounter in all aspects of life is framed within the environment in which you're like, you know, experiencing it. Like, people like the book Pride and Prejudice. Are you fucking kidding me? I hate that so much. And somebody's like, well, did you read it in school? I was like, yeah. And they go, well, that's probably why. I'm like, well.
Being compelled to do something without having like some level of interest in it is it inevitably kind of sours it, I think. I'm with you.
But you were you recently got into your current job, and we were talking. You work in Podunk Town in Pennsylvania, and you were thinking about moving, and there were some different things that you were considering, and I think that's relevant to what we were talking about, what draws people to a city. Do you have any cities that you were thinking about? Were there any major factors in your considerations? Do you know what you're looking for? Do you have any ideas of how you might want to explore somewhere else to move?
I don't know if I'm like most or odd, but like I went one or the other, to one extreme. I would love to live in a city, or I want to live in a remote location where like I take monthly trips into town to get supplies. Like nothing in between.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this in your introduction. Sean, when he was a kid, he saw the movie Fight Club.
Oh my God!
And ever since then, he's believed that he is Tyler Durden. So he's an edgelord. He's a little bit crazy. I remember, like, what was it? He was telling me when he was a kid, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make soap out of people fat," like something out of the movie. What else was he?
Have you tried shooting your spinal cord through your mouth?
Yeah. No.
He's have they ever really felt anything? I mean, he's fucking Tyler Durden over there. So, I'm not surprised when he's like, oh, I could go live a normal life and see, or I could be alone and go to town once a month.
Well,
so just frame his answer in this thing that he is Tyler Durden.
I was looking at Montana. It's beautiful out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could be out there for a month and fucking hate it. I'd be so lonely because it'd be beautiful, but like my neighbor's, 3 miles that way. I don't know.
And a jerk.
Yeah,
Potentially.
Yeah. So maybe I could cut it, maybe I couldn't. I don't know. I would love to experience that at some point. I don't know how long it'd take it, but city-wise, I'm getting into a lot of stuff that requires land, and that's the one drawback. Like, I would love to live in old towns in Philadelphia, but like, if I want an ATV, go shooting, whatever, I can't do that in my backyard in Philadelphia. Like,
you could, not
yeah,
for long.
Exactly.
Not for very long.
Could in West Philly, it would
another.
just like fall into the background noise.
Right.
I remember when they were like, some rough neighborhood in Philadelphia, people were taking pictures. They had fucking horses down there. People just like took horses down to the neighborhood, driving their ATVs through the front yard.
Yeah, and like the place where I live now, my one friend has like 3 acres, and like they have different parts. It's all wooded, and like there'd be one clearing here, and they have like they're like a bar with like a drinking area, and then you have to walk down this pathway or drive a little along the path here, and then they have another area with a couple, like a campfire and like a couple huts. But I'm like, that's awesome. I love that.
And 3 acres is like nothing.
Really not a lot
Right.
of land.
Right,
But you can do a lot with
It's
it.
wooded, so it gives the perception
bigger.
of
My sister lives on 60 acres
Yeah, that's
in the
nice.
middle of nowhere.
But
That's where you can fuck around.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like, I think what you need to do is just get to a point where you accept that you're going to have to drive, right? You can do both. You get a good job in the city. You can get land in PA or some other state cheap in the middle of fucking nowhere, but it's going to be a 3-hour drive.
I was always in love with living in the city, and
Yeah.
then I'm just recently like I don't want to. So
That's
I-
funny
I
because
need
I'm
that.
actually, I am like the typical story of the person that grew up in the middle of nowhere and went in search of jobs, and I found one, and now I'm around, and like I'm moving. So I moved from from Pottsville to the suburbs of Philly, and I like it out here, but I've been trying to find a way that is conducive to my schedule where I will not have to commute an hour and 15 minutes in traffic every day, but also get much closer to the city where I can go do stuff. I want to be closer to the sports stadiums, to the airport, to the bars in Center City, and all that shit.
A lot of guys live in Manayunk and go to my job, which is really close to your job.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I found a condo place not in like northwest of Manayunk. It's basically on the border of Philly and Plymouth Township, right? So for those of you who don't know, that's like northwest Philadelphia. It's like very, very close to the not being in the city of Philadelphia, and like preferably I would like to not be in the city of Philadelphia because they have an extra tax of 4% on your wages, and that's unfortunate. But this place is pretty affordable. They have condos there that range from like $100,000 to $160,000, and their condo fee includes all of your utilities.
Whoa.
Yeah. Plus, it has a pool and a gym and all this shit that you expect. So it's pretty nice, and it's like got easy access to the Schuylkill. So yeah, it sucks to drive on the Schuylkill, but you're so far up it, you only have to be on it for like until Conshohocken, and then you're back. You're on 202.
It was interesting. I was talking to somebody because I have my house with a little yard and all that, but they're like, millennials they're like not fucking interested in houses.
I am, but I don't want to pay suburb prices for it yet.
What I heard is like a lot of millennials like the condo kind of thing.
I don't want a condo, but like it's what's affordable. So in that sense, I'm like just kind of dealing with
You're
it.
not really representative of millennials as a whole. You're a fucking robot
Yeah, I know.
perpetrating.
But it's funny, like I am. I'm the guy that just bought a new iPhone, that moved from the middle of nowhere to like whatever.
What a great setup, you son of a bitch.
What?
He mentioned his new iPhone.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess we could circle back around. We were talking about SoundCloud, Spotify opening themselves up to host all this content. And I, like Frank said, if with Amazon Web Services, you can have so much shit for a really affordable price out there on the cloud. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, to me, I think it's a great business move, and you endear a lot of people to your company when you're supportive like that. Like a lot of people have the dream of being somebody in a podcast or a musician, or I mean, there are Lil Peep and fucking XXXTentacion and all the other guys, SoundCloud rappers. Right now, they're going to be Spotify rappers. It's pretty neat. I just think it's a great business move for the environment right now, opening up a great avenue for free, creating accessibility, right? Because we are in an era of so much good content. We just need somebody to figure out how to sort it so that we can consume. And then if you have access to free content, people might not want to fucking pirate, and you can make money off of them. That's all I'm saying. I don't pirate shit because all my content's from YouTube. But they're getting crazy with the ads. Have you been getting the double ads from YouTube?
I sure haven't, because I have ad block.
Oh, that's true. All right.
Ad block, fuck you. Ad block,
we really got to set up the Raspberry Pi hole.
Yeah. So, Frank, you mentioned a moment ago that you got a new iPhone. Why don't you tell us about that, old buddy, old pal?
So, I'm not sure what really drove me for it. I had the 7 Plus, right? And that was a tough decision.
7 Plus what?
It's iPhone 7 Plus.
These nuts.
Great.
Got him.
He did.
Fucking walked right in. What a fucking idiot.
You did it.
Don't shake your head, Sean.
I'm proud.
Yeah. So I had it, and when I got that, it was a tough debate between. I think at the time I was really looking at the Google Pixel XL, and I liked it. I liked the Pixel XL, but the iPhone 7 Plus at the time just seemed a bit snappier, and from what I had read, the battery life on it was slightly better. I don't know if that turned out to be true or not. But I was happy with the phone for a very long time. I just my hand is not massive, a la Bill-sized. So for a 7 Plus to fit in my hand, I had to really contort my hand to reach all corners of the screen, which got really annoying when I was trying to text. My thumb couldn't quite all the way get over to the P.
I have that problem now with the S8 Plus.
Yeah.
Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know what it was. I saw the commercial for the XS, and I was like, oh, is that really worth that much money for it? And the one day I was like, I should probably just go check it out and see. I'm kind of getting tired of not being able to text and contorting my hand 15 different ways. And I saw a comparison of them somewhere on like a review of it, where basically because the XS is a edge-to-edge screen, there's like no bezel at all, the actual screen size of the XS is about the same size as the 7 Plus, even though the 7 Plus is physically a bigger phone. That made me much more interested in it. I was like, so I could reduce the actual size of the phone, but still have the same screen size, which is what turned me on to the 7 Plus, and then not really have to contort my hand as much because there's like I'm not gripping something that's physically as large. So I went and I played around with it, and I was pretty much instantly sold. I mean, it is super snappy. The screen's incredible. I mean, as far as like looking at pictures and videos and all that shit, I don't think there's another smartphone on the market that has as good of a screen as what the iPhone XS has, except for maybe the XS Max. I don't know the spec difference between them. And the battery life has been good from what I saw. Yeah, it's so far. It came, like the base model has 128 gigabyte storage, which is enough for me, I believe. Or it might have been 64. I think it might have been 64.
That's a ton to come from the factory. That's a lot. I'm okay with it.
I had the 260 or the 256 megabyte or gigabyte, I'm sorry, version of the 7 Plus, and I thought I took more pictures than I have ever taken in my life in the time period that I owned the 7 Plus, because I took a ton of pictures when Jake and I, unfortunately, this podcast has been subjected to all of my vacations and a review of them. So all of those, if you were interested, that's Arizona, Vegas several times. Arizona included the Grand Canyon and Sedona, Havasu Falls in the Grand Canyon. I've talked about going to California, from LA up to San Francisco, Sequoia National Park, Monterey, California. There's in New Orleans. Like I've been a lot of places. London, France, London, Paris, Amsterdam. Like, yeah, I have a lot of pictures. I took a lot of pictures while I was gone. and I did not get anywhere close to the storage capacity, even with like really high quality, high resolution HDR images.
Very nice.
I went with Sean to Kenzua.
It's either Kenzua State Park or Kenzua Bridge State Park.
Yeah. Is that in West Virginia?
No. It's in Bradford County, PA.
Okay.
It's probably about 6 hours from here. But I went up to Bloomsburg first, and then so that was 3 hours, and then I jumped in a car with him and we went up there. Saw the Zippo Museum, which I can say I've been there, and that's about all I can say about it. It was that and a folding knife company. In one museum, I think they were both like, we don't have enough shit for our museums. Let's get together. Case knife, which I've never heard of, and Zippo. Neat. So after that, we drove down to Kenzua State Park, which is a bridge they built in like 1905. And then they're like, oh, this isn't big enough. Let's make it stronger. So they made it stronger for bigger locomotives. And then they're like, it sucks. You can't ride on this railroad anymore. And then they're like, well, maybe we should fix it. And then Mother Nature was like, nah, dog. And fucking blew it over with a tornado in northwestern PA, where it is against the Lord to have tornadoes. But I guess we sinned too big in Pennsylvania, so he knocked it over.
I sure did.
And they went, the people in charge had a really great idea. They're like, all right, we could clean this up, or we could just fucking not leave everything on the ground, turn it into a lookout point, call it an attraction. So that's what they did. They just turned the bridge into like a walkout. You can walk on the railroad ties in the middle or regular thing on the sides. You go out and it's like 225 feet in the air. You can see where the trees got ripped up by the tornado, the bridge that fell over. They're just leaving it lay there. It's pretty fucking cool. But anyway,
it'll be a relic one day.
Yeah. The point of my story was the camera on my phone that you'd normally take pictures with is broken. So in order to get pictures of this bridge, I had to take selfies. Boy, did I look like a cunt. Like I'm half in it, and I'm taking a picture of the bridge, and like they had a glass floor, so I'm taking a picture of myself, and then the glass floor underneath of me, and I was like, every time I bring it, I'm like, listen, I'm going to show you this bridge. I'm sorry that I'm in it. It's just this fucking like big bearded goofball with a ponytail. My beard is in a ponytail, if you guys are wondering, because I don't know what else to do with it. I got my camo hat on.
Cut it.
I trimmed up the other day.
I cannot cut it, or else I'd be breaking a promise to myself. I'm not allowed to cut my beard or drink until I get down to 260. Right? The drinking's the carrot, and the beard is the stick, because this fucking beard is driving me nuts. Anyway, that was my point. I had to take some selfies on my camera, and I sort of hated myself for it. But I gotta say, I look super cute. You can really see the green in my eyes that nobody seems to notice.
Bill, there's no need to hate yourself. I hate you already.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Anyway, so I think my favorite part of getting this, we are in the future. All right. For anyone that does not know, we are in the future. The way that I set my new phone up, so I bought the phone and it was a very simple transaction. I went and I purchased it. It used to be when I would buy a phone, it would take a while to set up and transfer all your shit from one to the other. With this going from iPhone to iPhone, I turned the new one on and it said, hey, we noticed that your old iPhone is super close. Do you want us to transfer everything from that to this? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So yes. And it like turned the camera on and it said, turn your other phone on and we'll sync them up, and then put the camera over the screen in front of the other one to make sure we got the right one. And then it was good to go. Literally all of my apps, all of my pictures, everything flowed over in the exact same way that it was onto the new phone in like 20 minutes.
That's pretty fucking dope.
It was like literally all of the apps were in the same order that they were in before. All of my messages right there. One message I got from Lisa went to the old phone, and 20 minutes later I got another one on the new phone, and the whole conversation was listed there before it, just like it was on the old phone.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I was like, this is the future. Like, just get a new one and it works, and it is exactly how I had the old one, just new.
That makes a lot of sense with Apple's Well, what the consumption model they're doing with these phones, like you pay the lease, but every 6 months you can upgrade it. So they're like, people aren't going to want to do that if it's a pain in the dick to transfer it.
I don't know if I'll want to go past this one. We'll have to see. So I am 100% a.
But what about
trader.
Stinky Jobs?
I don't care.
What about that dead guy? He was the future.
Well, he's dead, and the future is dead because the future is now.
The clock is ticking, future.
Yeah.
Idiot.
I will.
We're coming for you.
Every generation of phones that come out, I will weigh what the overall increase is over the previous generation and what the benefits and drawbacks of each major model in each generation is. And if there is a if there is a big enough jump in overall technology, I will move. And if there is a clear winner of all of those, I will move, right? So it has to, both conditions have to be met. And I think that's kind of what got me here is I compared like the Google Pixel 2 and Google Pixel 2 XL and the iPhone XS and XS Max and the Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus and Note whatever 7 I think they're on, or Note 8. Like I compared all of these new phones that had just come out in 2018 fall, and I looked at the stats. How is it compared to the previous generation? How is it compared to the generation of phones that I'm on? And among the current generation, which is there a clear winner? And to me, the technology jump over both the previous generation and the generation of phone that I was on was like that condition was met. We have it's not super AMOLED, like really nice OLED screens, right? That's a big one, and edge-to-edge screen technology, and 5G capability. Right, so the 5G network is rolling out. I don't know when they will finish putting it, installing it, but for those who are unfamiliar, 5G networks is similar like to in the difference between fourth and third generation wireless, so 3G and 4G wireless technology. It operates on a band of radio frequency that is, I believe, sub-millimeter in length, so it is not like it doesn't really penetrate shit as well, so they have to put up a ton more like towers. Essentially they're really more like cells, and it's like almost on like not quite every street corner, but pretty close to every street corner they need to have these on. They're much smaller than like if you look at a cell tower now, you know, they're 70 feet tall, and they've got these big things on them. I think the 5G power cells are like, I don't know, the size of a small box fan, right? And you can just put them on like a street corner essentially, and it'll get you like a couple of blocks. But because the wavelengths don't penetrate material as well as the 4G wavelengths, they have to be like, there have to be a lot more of them.
I think that's a characteristic of light emission, right?
Yes.
Like the reason radio waves carry so far relative to other things is because they're these big, long fucking waves. And you get the little teeny ones, and they can't go through shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my deep.
But they're like more, I guess, efficient within their limited range.
So the 5G, the sub-millimeter wavelength range can carry a lot more information on it than the close to microwave. I think it's like sub-microwave range
Just like
which is 4G.
Sean's sub-millimeter peener. That's how he sells it.
That was a good one.
So
listen, first off, sorry to body shame you for your wiener. Second off, I mean, lame joke, but dude, I don't care how hungover you are. You better fucking talk to us. Yesterday, he was playing against Genevieve in Civilization, and Genevieve says to me, "Why don't you take over while I go make some food? Don't get me into a war." She hadn't even left the room, and he attacked one of her settlers. Right? So we've been at war, and I took one of his shitty cities, and I'm turning on his capital now. So not only is he sleepy, but he's licking his wounds.
To be fair, I was going off 3 hours of sleep, exhausted. I was tired.
It's your own goddamn
It was like
fault.
5 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
I could tear Bill Genevieve at the same time a new asshole in Civilization 5 or 6.
I believe that, and we should do that.
Well, I suck. I was doing terrible, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to end this quick.
He was actually doing comparatively okay, but he's so fucking new. He doesn't realize it. But yeah, no. One of these days we're gonna organize an 8-person Civ party. I just got to figure out how to make it.
It's kind of pointless. I'm gonna win.
There's some other heavy hitters I'm gonna be bringing to this thing. Don't worry.
Okay.
And we might all form an alliance against you. So.
I'll play. I've never played with other people on Civ, so
This is
I'll throw in for fun.
all right. So
Yeah.
that aside, you were talking about your phone still, right?
Yeah. So here's something I think you're going to be really interested in, Bill.
Okay. Is it a sex bot? Is it a fuck bot? Are they finally here?
No.
Well,
I mean, you'll always have me, Bill.
Yeah. So one of the features of the new generation of iPhones, and this is not, I'm not even, it's like slightly above gimmick feature, right? They have a function called screen time, where because the new phones have the Face ID technology, so it has like the 3D picture of your face, right? To unlock your phone, it can measure how long your face is looking at your phone on a day-to-day basis. So it can tell you how much you're using your fucking phone. I average about 3 hours a day, and I'm not sure how that stacks up. I feel like that was more than I expected and that I want to spend on my phone. But when I look at the overall statistics online, I think most people are averaging like 5.
I'm probably closer to that.
well, I mean, it does supplant a lot of traditional means of consumption for information. You know, I get a lot of my news from sources on my phone, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Same here.
I mean, until you lent me your laptop, I don't have a computer. I use my phone.
Right.
So
You do live a pretty sad life, though. This motherfucker has a mattress on the ground.
yeah,
He lives in a drug den with no drugs. It's just a regular old den.
I mean, at least get some.
I told you I attempted the cheap bed frame, but then the whole bed would flip if you sat anywhere on the lower half of the bed.
What?
So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's on the floor. It goes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be if I didn't get box springs with it.
Yeah.
Don't defend him.
It,
Help me attack
my
him.
mattress is
No.
also like.
Come on.
He's a guest.
God
damn it.
damn it.
Oh, I don't care. My mattress is like a bed. The mattress itself and the box spring. It's a combo.
Oh, okay.
So it's a. I don't know where I found it or got it, but
Weird.
yeah.
But yeah, my stepmom has this fucking iPad I've never seen. It was gargantuan.
Yeah, they make like a 13-inch iPad.
And I was like, well,
It's
that's what I want.
stupid.
That's what I've always wanted. I don't need a little, I want a big ass, I want like a big book-sized iPad, and I will consume,
A tablet computer.
yeah, I will consume 90% of my media on that. I don't need to watch YouTube on my big TV anymore. I don't need my phone for Reddit or whatever. I just need this tablet and a thing to hang it in front of my face while I'm laying in bed until I go sleepy sleep.
So Jake got the same tablet that I lost while I was in Europe, which is the Samsung Galaxy Tab A, and I believe you got the 10.1-inch one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect size for me.
Yeah.
You can look, it's right over there. That to me is the perfect size mobile quote unquote device, especially because I love it when I'm flying or traveling in general, where I'm not driving, you know, operating the machine on which I'm traveling or in which I'm traveling, because that is like, it's very portable and it's big enough where I can watch movies and feel comfortable with the size of the screen.
Mhm.
And
I
it's also
have-
really nice to use on the toilet.
I
Which
haven't
is-
done it frequently, but I have a MacBook, and it's an old MacBook Pro, the big one. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a 19-incher or some bullshit. It's a big old laptop, and I've brought that on the plane, and I've put it on the dinner tray, and I have played Counter-Strike, against bots on the plane, and that's fun. It's a little unwieldy though.
Yeah. You can do it, but it is unwieldy.
The tablet in like even a smaller one, like an 8.5, but like really any tablet that's worth calling a tablet is definitely like some type of reasonable middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with how well older games are being ported to these tablets, like you might not be able to run Civ or Counter-Strike or whatever, but you could play like a fucking PlayStation 1 or 2 game on
Grand
a
Theft
tablet.
Auto San Andreas is on mobile, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
And I've played it on the plane, and it's awesome. It makes time go so fast.
How do you even play it on a touch screen?
Basically, imagine if the analog stick of a PlayStation
It was like a touch region for it.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It's not perfect, and it's very difficult to drive, but it gets the job done.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the point because I have for my tablet. I bought a Bluetooth mouse, right? Because you can't really direct in, really. I mean, there is a USB port, but if you want to charge, so I do have a little Bluetooth mouse. It's also not perfect. It doesn't always like know how to interact with the program it's using. But if I had to like type up an email or something, or put together like do basic work on a basic PowerPoint or something like that, it would be helpful. I'm waiting for the day of Bluetooth console controllers.
Yeah.
Which might already be a thing, but I don't know. I haven't checked.
That was.
For specifically for using with a mobile device to play ported games. It's probably doable if you have the know-how and the time.
You know what you can do pretty easily, and it's not exactly Bluetooth, but you can take your USB like 360 controller, use a USB to mini USB little plug, and plug that into your bottom of your phone and use that controller.
Oh, really?
That works right now.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean,
you can also do it with a mouse.
Xbox controllers have actually been USB since the first Xbox, since the beginning. Yeah. But with the original Xbox, you had to cut the wire and splice it with a USB fitting. But it was the same. Yeah. It was the same code, so it worked just fine if you did that.
Mm-hmm. Mm. What were you going to say, Sean? You had something in the middle there.
Oh, all tablet talk. I was just curious. Does everyone here own a tablet?
I don't have a tablet.
I did until I lost it 2 months ago.
Yeah, I was looking into buying them, but again, I don't know. It comes to money to me. I'm like, why? I don't see the point.
Well, for your usage, it would probably be nice because that's how you consume most of your media. Like sitting on.
You would put less strain on yourself and on your phone if you had a tablet doing some of the work. Yeah. And you can like the Tab A ran like less than $200 on like the Amazon summer sale. Like it was quite reasonable.
There's really no.
It's not as fast as like your new iPads and your new like Galaxy tablets. Even it's old, but that's why it's cheap and it's still perfectly serviceable.
Yeah, I particularly don't see a compelling reason to purchase like a top of the line like $500 or $600 tablet. Like I think it's the Tab 5 now they might be on or something like that. That's the Samsung top of the line tablet. I'm with you on that. Okay. But for $160, $170 to get the Tab A, the stress that it takes off your phone and especially your phone's battery, if you're going to use that to browse the internet instead of your phone while you're sitting on your couch watching TV.
It's easier to read, so it's easier on your eyes too, and it's a second battery. So like, I mean, I use the main reason why my phone is already going to shits because I play a shitload of Pokemon Go and Fallout Shelter, both of which are battery hogs. But therefore I got the tablet kind of to do exactly what we've been discussing. I also plan to use it as a MIDI controller for some of my music stuff, but I just haven't really fully gone down that path, but it is possible. I actually bought a second little phone for the same reason. I'm going to try to noodle with some digital pedals that way.
I am also a big proponent of like separation of roles for your devices because this is going to sound like super fucking soft as shit, but whatever. Like I find that being on my phone, there is still a certain level of stress that I experience because I am constantly able to be reached and I'm like thinking about the people I need to contact because I've got Messenger, I've got like my messages, like text messages. I've got email on there, and I'm always like kind of ready for somebody, and then I'm like, oh shit, are they gonna message me back? I can leave my phone on the other side of the room and like do something else on my computer, and it's nice because then I don't fucking think about anything else. I don't think about anything that I associate with that work device, which is really nice. And I disabled Facebook on my phone. You still have it, but I know you fall into that Facebook suck. Right. So if I were you, I would get like a tablet, not put fucking Facebook on it or whatever, and like just separate because Sean's one of those guys. You say you don't get on often, but when you do, you're on it for
I'm never really on it. But for some reason, it'll notify me like, hey, so and so did this, and I'll like, I'll check it out, and then like an hour, like a half hour, an hour will pass. I'm like, oh god, I'll never get that back.
I used to have the same problem. For me with the Facebook app specifically, I lost all of my patience with it because I started getting notifications about notifications, and
I started seeing that.
I was like, no, I have like notification bar anxiety. I need that fucker clear, as often as possible. Like I have other friends who let like notifications pile up forever and ever and ever and never answer texts and shit. I'm like, no, there's stuff to do. I got to get rid of it. Why am I getting this? And now it's like, oh, did you see so-and-so's post from 4 weeks ago? Did you see Sean's comment on Frank's post that happened the other day? Don't you want to know what they're saying, Jake? Don't you want to interact? No, Facebook, I do not. Fuck you. Fuck you. And I turned that shit off because I used to have that exact problem every single fucking day. And it was just consuming my life. I got other shit to do. So I turned it off and I check Facebook on my desktop like once a week tops.
Yeah, and I always have 50 notifications. I go, boy, aren't I a cool guy? And I read through it. I'm like, oh, I don't care about any of these. And I got one friend request. But what was really happening to me with...
and it's a fuck bot.
Yep.
Right. What was really happening to me, and this was like close to the election too, and after the election, and it was just like Facebook was just showing me so much political shit, and like from people with like super duper extreme stances, and it was just causing me stress all the time because I'm like, how are there people like this? How are people like, none of this makes any sense. They're fighting all the time. There's never constructive conversation in my feed, and then or it'd be that, or like, you know, people I haven't talked to in years. Like, I'm like, what? This
random person you friended, you know, in middle school got married.
Yeah, and then it would every once in a while they toss an ex-girlfriend in there for good measure.
Yeah.
Like, oh Christ! So I was like, you know what? I can't do it anymore, and I turned it off, and it has been a really like a big stress reliever, right? So
same.
So and you know what really, the point of that was, you know what really ended up fucking driving me to it? They found out that Facebook did a study on its users without telling them, and they're like, we wonder if we can make people sad by showing them sad things. So they altered a bunch of users' feeds without alerting them with sad stuff, and they found out, yeah, showing people sad things all the time makes them more sad. I'm like, these fuckers, they're manipulating us for fun. I'm like, I'm fucking out of here.
I'm not sure if it's worse that they were doing it for fun and not for like. Would it be worse if they were doing it to make money? Because at least there's like someone profits out of that. You know, they were just literally doing it to see if they could to fuck with people.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the motive. I'm almost certain that there was a money motive involved. Whether it was an immediate profit or something down the road. I mean, this is old news.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is what media is constructed to do in a capitalist society is to have a yield. And if you can manipulate your customers, you can manipulate them toward greater yield. I mean, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I mean, and that, you know, that's another big reason why I'm like, okay, you have enough of my dirty laundry, Facebook. Enough's enough.
Isn't it funny how the majority of, I mean, not that Facebook and Google and Apple, more so Facebook and Google and Twitter as well, not that they are groundbreaking. I mean, they are in their own sense groundbreaking technology, right? But if you think about the brain power behind them and the developers that they get and the cutting edge research that they are capable of, right? Whether or not they do it and whether or not they do it for the right reasons or it's the best allocation of resources or whatnot. It's funny that they have a lot of the best developers in the world between, at least when I say, like, at least Facebook and Google have a lot of the best developers in the world, and they're all subsidized by advertising revenue.
Yeah.
That's why YouTube's doing its thing lately.
Yeah.
So speaking of manipulation of consumers, I have recently been shopping the shit out of Amazon because I have my Prime thing and I get 5% back on Amazon purchases.
Yep.
And they got home goods, and I'm like, fuck, if I get a subscription, I get 10% less for 5 things. Fuck yeah. They're going buck wild over there. But I bought another mic because Genevieve and I want to start doing a playthrough of the Tomb Raider series. And I was just like, I'm fucking tired of not doing this. Let me do it. So I went online, and I have this the Snowball, or the blue Snowball which when I originally bought it retailed for $90. I think it retails for about $56 right now on Amazon new. And I was poking around on eBay, and I could pick it up for like $30. The next level up is a Yeti, which they're like it's really great for a group of people. It costs like $120 new. You can get it used for $80. Like, I don't know if I want to spend that. So I'm poking around on Amazon, and I find a condenser mic, some like Chinese microphone or something. $20. Looks pretty decent. I'm like, all right, let me give this a try. Let me roll the dice here. So I bought it, and it comes in. Looks good, feels a little light. And I hook them up to my computer, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to record from the Snowball to one track and this other thing to the other track, test them out. Well, I started to learn there's a lot of things that you need to do to get audio to do what you want to do on the computer. It's not that easy. Mm-mm. So the point of this thing was I ended up downloading Voice Meter Banana to my computer. So guess what? You and I are going to have a little chit-chat sesh so you can tell me what the fuck I'm doing.
It is not intuitive at all, but I found a decent couple of videos on YouTube that explain it in simpleton terms, and I got it working just fine.
Now, this is one of those things, sort of like we were discussing with getting in technology, and like if you're consuming it in a certain way, it's not interesting. Like, I like music, I like sound work, I think. But like when I had to start learning about the equipment to consume and manage sound, I was like, oh my fuck, kill me. Like, got knobby doos, and you got to go through this subwoofer and this synthesizer.
There's a lot to learn. There are a lot of ways to do it wrong.
Yeah.
And if you go back and listen to our first 15 to 20 episodes, you will hear my progression as a producer and engineer of this stuff, and how dog shit it can sound not knowing what you're doing. And I'm not sure I know what I'm doing now, but I at least have our hardware and software communicating in a way that these episodes sound pretty damn good. If I don't,
all I want is to be able to make is wubba lubba dub dub zip zop zoobity bop, right? And I
know exactly what you meant by that.
And you can't just push buttons and make these sounds go.
Nope.
It's really frustrating.
You just have to know what buttons to push.
Right. But I have figured out with this Voice Meter Banana, we can do both mics in. We can record the system sound, but they go through to, I use Audacity, go through to Audacity as a single track, which is sort of not ideal right now.
You probably want like an audio interface, which I have a spare and can loan you. That will let you split your mic tracks.
Now my mics are USB though.
It should still work.
Okay.
But ideally you would use real mics.
Yeah. So the thing about it was, it turns out I was sleeping on this snowball, right? Like I use it over the internet, and sometimes people don't hear me or whatever. And I've recorded it in Windows, like included sound recorder, and I'm like, oh, that sounds okay. When I hooked it up through Voice Meter and ran it into Audacity, it sounds insanely good. I'm like, holy shit, this is a nice microphone. I hooked up the other condenser that I got for $20, and I was like, it sounds okay. It's all right. But I had to lower the volume of the Snowball by 6 decibels and raise the other microphone by 12 decibels to get them to sound the same volume. And I was like, is this worth $20? Should I just return this motherfucker and wait and buy like an actual nicer microphone? I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I was so excited to get it.
If you can, here's the thing. All right. 3 of the mics we're using right now are SM48s. Sure. Okay. The industry standard for vocal performance among a strong market is the SM58, which we actually have 2 running. You're on my mics right now. This 58 runs for $100 a pop. The SM48, slightly less in quality. Can't fucking tell the difference. $50. $100 gets you 2 SM48s. Another 20, right, will get you 2 awesome mic cables. It'll be totally sufficient. I'll loan you my old audio interface, and you and Genevieve can sound like. I'll just have to show you a little bit about hooking it up and using like compressors and shit, and you'll sound like our main show does. It's actually, once you just know what to do and you noodle with it a bit to dial it in, you just save your settings, and like every time I load Ableton to record an episode, the old settings are right there. All I do is check your levels each time and noodle with the soundboard a little bit. You don't even need a soundboard if you're just doing 2 mics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great idea. That's what we're going to have to do. All right, real quick before we wrap up the section, I want to say I got some other stuff on Amazon. I got wireless chargers for my phone.
Ooh, how's that working?
I mean, they're a little finicky. I got like $8 ones, and they're only 5 watts. They don't charge super fast. Tremendous. I have lost 3 phones because that goddamn USB port got too loose. Not anymore. I just set this bitch on it. I forget about it like overnight or whatever. I wake up, it's charged. I have 3 of them now. 1 for me, 1 for Genevieve, and 1 for myself at work. Just setting my phone in a place and having it charge. I love it. I bought one for my car. So my car has a phone holder now, and that phone holder is an induction charger. So I don't have to plug it in anything in the car either. I just set it down. It's amazing. I am starting to delve into display cables. So it's like, I think it's like HDMI, but it doesn't carry any audio information. So now from Genevieve's 1050 Ti video card, we have 2 monitors going because I came into possession of another 40-inch TV, and it's fucking awesome. One of my work laptops has a mini HDMI and I have that mini HDMI or mini display port to HDMI. Now I'm running 3 monitors for my work shit. Like, and I got this all on Amazon for like $10 to $12 a piece. Now, I know Amazon works me sometimes, right? Because they show you the shitty thing for $8, and then they show you the little better thing for like $11. You're like, it's only $3 more. They're upselling me, those sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what I get. I did that. I got that. I also got HDMI selectors so that I can have 4 running into 1, switch between it on TV. I haven't used that yet. I'm pretty excited about it. The last thing I got that I'm really, really pleased with, a USB in for 2 computers so that I can have my mouse, keyboard, and whatever running to my work machine, switch over to my play machine, mess with YouTube on it, and then just click the button on my desk in front of me, and it switches my USBs right back to my work machine. So I don't have to unplug and plug everything back in.
Switches are great.
Yeah, I fucking love it.
I bought knockoff AirPods,
Which
They
are the
suck.
Bluetooth earbuds.
Yes.
Right.
Apple's overpriced wireless earbuds are like $150 for a set. I would not spend that on it, so I'm like, oh, I'll just get a knockoff pair off Amazon. $30. They're the cheapest piece of shit things I've ever seen.
It's because you're crazy and you want those things in your ears with no cord. Just buy Senso headphones, wrap around your ears. They got a nice bass. You know,
I don't want the cord. I want pure
they're
wireless.
waterproof. You can listen to music in the shower. You don't know how much you need that with sound canceling headphones in the shower with your eyes closed until you fucking try it. I'm telling you, it's an awakening. We have to end this goddamn section. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. Welcome back, everybody. Frank is going to hit us with some more content. Frank, you picked up, I believe, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I did.
You play as Homer Pyle, right?
You play as Gomer Pyle.
Okay, right.
And then you kill Arlie Ermy.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's actually dead. So
He's double dead now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Tragic loss for the country and entertainment industry. But picked up the game. First thing I'd like to say about the game, for those who have not seen anything about it, this is the most basic thing about it. It takes place in ancient Greece.
I literally had no idea this existed. The last Assassin's Creed I saw was like they're running around in Egypt.
Yeah, that was Origins. I think that came out, I'm going to say either like 2 years ago.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was blindsided by this too. The other day I saw a little ad on Steam.
How old am I now?
Old.
Which one was the one where they were in London? You could like switch
Syndicate.
between- That's like probably the last one I was.
Yeah, I think that was
with.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they come out every 2 years now or if it's like every 18 months. I don't think it's quite annually anymore. I'd like to first point out that when I saw this, right, why is it that we don't get that many video games set in ancient Greece or ancient Rome?
I don't know. Maybe it's not a very sexy time.
I 100% disagree. And also...
I didn't take a hard stance. I said maybe. Can't prove me wrong when I say maybe.
I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I'm just trying to say I don't agree with the idea that anyone would have that it's not a sexy time.
Okay.
Whether it is Bill or not.
As long as I don't have to admit defeat. My pride.
But in an era where companies don't want to put a ton of like writing and they do want to put a ton of writing and backstory into a game. Why are they going through all this work to create these fictional universes when there is a whole plethora of lore and mythos behind ancient Greek history and, you know, all of that stuff, mythology? It's already there. People wrote it like 2,000 years ago. And I shouldn't say everybody knows it. Almost everybody was supposed to learn it when they were in high school or college. So why bother recreating the wheel? Just plug some characters in there, use those stories that are already written, and just work some stuff in around it.
Yeah, like you can eat that one. You can eat your own kids, like that one guy, the Titan. Mm-hmm. Crunched and munched on his kids. That was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And then there's that fucking Cyclops, right? That
Yeah.
Odysseus throws sand in it, right? And if he wins.
Not quite.
Sure.
Yeah.
I always loved the Assassin's Creed series though for that reason. It fascinated me because they would just use what was already there, and they sprinkle a little bit of their own stuff in there, and I loved it.
So I want to blow everybody's mind.
Okay. I love it when you blow any part of me, but especially my mind.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an RPG.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No.
Does it still play like a classic?
Wait, is it an RPG like fucking?
No, it's an RPG.
What?
Yeah. You level up your character.
Is this why I haven't heard about this game? Were they advertising it, or did they give up on advertising it because they're like, nobody's gonna play a fucking RPG? This is amazing.
Does it play anything like the original Assassin's Creed? Does it have any elements from it, or
You can climb and assassinate people. You don't have
That's
to.
the whole game, right?
Not anymore.
Jesus
There's
Christ.
a story, like a legit story, and quests and side quests, and leveling. Like your character has a level, and you get experience for doing them. It's an RPG.
Oh my!
You have
God.
skill. There's like a skill tree with different branches where you can specialize as a different type of character. You can specialize as like a hunter who primarily uses a bow, as a warrior who's using like a axe or sword or spear, or as an assassin who's going to sneak around and be an assassin.
Please just give me as much information about this fucking game as you possibly can.
Yeah. So you play as one of two characters, a male or female, Cassandra or something like that, or Alexios, and you are the son or daughter of a Spartan general, and you are essentially kicked out of the Spartan regime as a young child, and you grow up as a misfit orphan, kind of, where this guy takes you under your wing, and you start off the game as this guy borrowed a bunch of money, and this like local bandit pirate type dude named the Cyclops is like hunting you down looking for his money, and you don't have it, so you have to kill him, or he kills you. But yeah, so you start out, and his guys, like his goons, come up and are like, we're gonna kill you if you don't give us your money or whatever, and you like beat the shit out of them. And like you have choices, right? You can right away you fight those two dudes and you knock them out, right? And then they get up and you have the option to kill them or let them go, And from there, I mean, it just keeps going further and further down the RPG ladder. All of the quests are leveled, similar to The Witcher. For those of you that have played The Witcher, each quest has a level. If you're a lower level than the quest, it's going to be very, very difficult, if not impossible. And in this, the levels are very, very tight. Fighting anything one level above you is very difficult.
So when you say a quest is leveled, does it display like recommended at level 12?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll say this is a level 6 quest.
So this is a game where there's a significant difference between individual levels.
Yes.
That is something that I have found to be lost in a number of games, but that's pretty enticing.
Mm-hmm. This game does so many things well. I'm going to give it a pass on a lot of the things that it kind of irks me about.
Like what?
How tight it is around recommended levels, right? So essentially 1 level above you is very difficult and 2 levels above you is impossible. You will do 1 damage.
That reminds me a lot of Borderlands.
Yeah, kind of. I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that. That was a complaint that I have. I don't remember if we talked about we have talked about Borderlands, and that was one of my complaints about Borderlands, right?
Yeah, well, and that makes sense, too, because you're a big Dark Souls, Demon Souls player, and in that game, you can beat the final boss if you get good enough, right?
Yep.
As a level 1 NARP.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
So that is a small complaint, but it is so well balanced at the level you're on that it's really not that big of a deal. And there's so much to do that if you get to a quest in like the main story that's a level above you, you have a million things you can run around and do to bump up to the next level.
Now, is it like I don't know, like WoW or something, where when you're higher level, doing previous tasks gives you diminishing returns on experience?
The side quests and the random shit outside of the main story level with you.
No shit.
Yep.
Holy.
So you don't have to miss anything.
Sweet.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You want to hear something else amazing?
Yeah.
When it comes to RPGs, I'll see if I can get this out of you. Jake would probably answer. Unfortunately, he just stepped out of the room for the audience. It does not. So we'll rely on the other 3. What's one of the main complaints right now about modern RPGs?
The dialogue is dog shit.
True.
You know what? I'm not going to aside of the gameplay element of a modern RPG.
Was it the perks?
Is it too easy?
Perk trees? Grinding annoys me.
Okay. I don't notice too much grinding in modern RPGs personally. Too easy. Can you delve into that a little bit? What makes them too easy?
The systems are really basic.
Okay.
I'm thinking of like Fallout and how they made it more approachable to everybody, and it required less development as a player in order to succeed.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing with that for me personally. I'm kind of okay with that. Mostly, I'd like to see a little bit more depth in Fallout or Skyrim, as long as the game itself gives you the difficulty where like you do kind of have to do like with survival mode in Fallout 4, right? They introduced that, made the game. That's how I think they should have just made the game that way. Because if you put when the game first came out, you put the game on the hardest difficulty setting, you just fucking blew through everything regardless. Yeah. No, what I'm mostly talking about, and what a major complaint for most gamers is with in regards to modern RPGs, is the quest marker. The here, we're gonna put this right on your screen. Go here.
Yeah, it's an open world, but you're in like a linear dungeon in the overworld, right? Just go there.
Yeah, and they want you to explore and whatnot, but they just plaster this massive icon in the middle of your screen, and you can fast travel. So like, it's basically, it becomes an idea of, in something like Skyrim, you walk out, like you get a quest, you walk outside of whatever building you got the quest, you open up the map, you fast travel to the closest point that you have on the map to wherever you need to go to do the quest. You do the quest in the dungeon, you come back out of the dungeon, you fast travel back to the person that gave you the quest. And that's it. You just keep doing that, rinse and repeat. You don't ever have to, outside of discovering local areas first, actually explore.
Yeah, and I found though part of the reason is because even when you explore, it's boring as shit. Oh, I ran into a snow bear.
I don't know. For me, I do like exploring quite a bit, and I do get lost like in certain sessions of playing, games like Skyrim and Fallout. I do like to just walk around.
But you haven't told us how Assassin's Creed is different.
So when you get a quest, right?
Yeah.
You'll be given information, but they won't tell you where on the map you have to go. They'll give you a description, like it's south of this island, and there's like Like, oh, it's on an island south of this area, and there's a shipwreck on the shore of the island. Go find it. So you have to like go to the map and be like, okay, it says it's south of here. Well, here's like 3 different islands, so I'll just go search around these. Now, which one has a shipwreck on it? You know, and you find maybe 2 of them have a shipwreck on them. So it's like, oh shit, which one is it? So you got to like go explore the island. Is it this one? No. Okay, I'll go look at the other one. I will bet that some people will complain about that feature where it's like, just tell me where to go. But you're missing the point of the game. You have to get out there and explore. You have to go find it, figure it out, you know?
The only one thing I don't like about that, which is the one thing that I do like about fast traveling, is that, like, you know, as like a 30-year-old adult that works full time, like my video game time is limited. I kind of just want to get it done.
Here's the thing. I have not. They give you, so you have a horse and a boat. All right. And I don't think. They have it balanced in a way where I don't think it costs you an absurd amount of time to actually do the searching. It's just like you're not just immediately beelining exactly where you have to go for every little thing. And once you find it, you do get a marker, so you're not completely lost, a la Bill, who might walk by the obvious ladder that everyone else sees and then be like, I don't know where to go.
Well, you know, I'm intensely focused on other things.
It, to me,
my mind is different.
Is the best balance of not displaying every piece of information, not holding your hand to the point where you're not even really doing anything. You're just following the icon on the screen. And kind of a la Morrowind, you have to like go read your quest journal and then look at a map with like no markings on it whatsoever and just do a bunch of guessing, right? I think it is the perfect balance of the two.
I really think they should have given you a companion, like a dog that you can shave, and on his back is tattooed a map of the overworld. That really would have made the most sense.
Oh, by the way, that what I just described is actually optional. And if you want a quest marker to just like beeline directly where you want to go, you can just get that on there.
You fucking sandbagging son of a bitch. Holy shit. Okay, so the conversation we're having, Jake, is actually, let's just start all over from the beginning. Let's just recreate the conversation as best we can. Try to say the same things again. Crack the same jokes. If you guys are ready, let's just... No, okay, I'm just kidding. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an RPG. Frank told us we all collectively shit one big cinder block.
Yeah, it's not like an action-adventure game with RPG elements. It is an RPG.
A straight up RPG. I have never heard of this kind of shift in an established series like that.
I mean, I'm going to listen to the episode later, so you didn't have to spoil it, you know, catch me up or nothing. No one had to know I wasn't in the room, Bill.
I actually...
Well, it's funny.
Your face is funny.
Well, yeah. It's funny. No, so... oh, shit. He was just telling us that... one of the big things is that they don't just give you straight up quest markers that you can march to. You know what that reminds me of? You know what another game that didn't do quest markers like that actually had hints that you had to follow? Believe it or not, Sid Meier's Pirates.
Oh, God.
What?
Every time we talk about an Assassin's Creed game, you have to bring up Sid Meier's Pirates.
I do not. This is the only time I've ever brought it up. Everybody else brings it up every other time.
Every single time
I am not the one who brings it up. It's not me.
Mommy and Dad are fighting.
It's not me. There's other people who played this game. It's Chris. Blame Chris. It's not me.
It's usually Chris's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, so
typical.
Anyway, in this game, you do get maps, and they like give you a general area in the Gulf of Mexico and the rest of the Caribbean.
I thought we were in Greece.
No, in Sid Meier's Pirates.
Oh.
And then you have to like figure out where it is you go, and there's a bunch of landmarks, and you got to look for the combination of like the Easter Island head with a fucking double tree and a skeleton. And then you look for a big red X, and sometimes they're fake red X's. So it's a lot of fun. All I'm saying is that whatever. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up for the 1,000th time. Apparently.
Yeah.
Chris, are you okay? We usually like to.
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Wow, I was gonna make a joke off the mommy and daddy thing, but I don't know what Chris did there. He torpedoed something.
He South Park too.
Yeah, really going for the daddy and daddy thing there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what were you gonna say? What else were you gonna say?
So, beyond all that, right? The gameplay and actual combat and all that stuff that you expect out of Assassin's Creed is there. One of the things that I really enjoy is the whole idea of being an assassin, being sneaky and whatnot. Like, it just kind of got old to me after, what, 10 games, probably?
Are you still in the Animus? Are you still like matrixing into the past?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do start off that way, but it's like not like the Animus, and you're not playing well, I don't know that much about the backstory because it pretty much like you start off, you find this spear, right? You're a researcher in modern day, and you find this sphere, and apparently you can just, well, I guess you always could just take the DNA of your ancestor, and that's how you access their memories in game, right? And you take the DNA from this spear, and then you play through their memories, and that's when you get to pick between the male or female, right? The brother and sister.
I really think that what they should have done is just had your character at a bar get blackout drunk, trip and fall and hit his head like on the edge of a stoop, and then he's back in time. I mean, we got to get away from the Animus at some point.
I'm indifferent to it.
Okay,
Because it's a plot device, whatever.
Fine.
Yeah. So the game looks incredible. I am floored as to how this game looks in 4K and HDR. I cannot believe how good everything about it looks. The water, the plant life, the people, the facial expressions that they can make. It's past the uncanny valley, basically, and into the point where you're just like, it doesn't matter. I don't need it. In the Bill sense, I don't need it to get any better.
Yeah.
I am floored as to how good it looks.
It sounds like you like everything about this game.
There are things that I'm not 100% sold on. So the ability tree that's in the game for the 3 different paths, not quite differentiated enough to me, and the skills themselves are like a little lackluster, right? I'm going to let it pass because this is their first attempt to turn a essentially like action-adventure platformer into a full-fledged RPG. And it's not bad, it's just, it could be better.
Yeah.
I said the same thing about Skyrim. The perks could be a lot better. All right? If you're going to tell me that this game...
Thanks, mods.
Yeah. If you're going to tell me that the biggest fault is that they made an RPG and the perk and skill system was as good as Skyrim's, I don't think anybody's going to sit there and say, well, it's really not an RPG then. Like, no, it is. You level up. You get experience from doing quests and finding things in the world and all that shit.
I'm going to take slight objection to that. In that, as RPG systems go, Skyrim is pretty poor.
Yeah, that's true.
We love these Bethesda games for the depth of the worlds and the fun we derive that's greater than the sum of its parts, right?
Yeah.
Fucking guy, a fucking Argonian. Get out of here. I have lots to do. And then he lays down in bed and takes a nap. I fucking love it.
There's some immersion breaking shit going on in those games, but the beautiful thing about those is that they're kind of greater than the sum of their parts, right? If you spend the time on it, even though they're not necessarily even really good games from a mechanical standpoint, they are on balance because of the experience. But you don't have to be an apologist from the sound of it for Assassin's Creed in that way.
I'm just glad that they got away from pure action adventure. I mean, look, I think of an Assassin's Creed game like Black Flag, which was a great game, and I really loved it. And this game plays almost nothing like it. I mean, you do have the platforming element. You can climb on shit in ridiculous ways and whatnot, but you don't ever really have to. You're not trying to sneak around if you don't want to. You can be a straight up Spartan warrior. Put on your spear and your shield and just charge right into battle and start fighting people.
That's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. And then if you want to climb around and be an assassin, you can do that too.
So what's the ultimate goal of the game?
So I haven't 100% found out, despite being about 10 or 12 hours in. There's the main quest is called like your personal Odyssey, right? And right now I'm at the point where you were told to go assassinate a Spartan general who turns out to be your father, who banished you, pretty much tried to kill you when you were a kid for disgracing your family.
I was envisioning in my head Frank playing the game. He's like, oh, this is really cool. And he picks up like a new weapon and it's like these chain blades. He's like, wait, what? You get to the main story. It's like, all right, you got to go assassinate these gods because you were fooled into murdering your wife and daughter because you were a bloodthirsty general, and you find out you're fucking Kratos, the shittiest hero in any series ever. He's like, oh, God damn it.
Crossover.
Oh my God, Kratos is the worst hero on the planet. Oh my God.
He's an anti-hero, Bill.
Oh my God, he needs to fucking
Boy.
Great. Had to bring that up. So
what?
the map is absolutely massive.
Mhm.
I like zoomed out and I'm like, oh, this map is pretty big. And then I realized that like you can like zooming out all the way doesn't show you the entire map. And you have to like pan around to see it. And it was 5 times bigger than I thought it was. And I was content with how big I originally thought it was. And then it was 5 times bigger than that.
I want to voice an objection to the gaming industry as a whole, especially you sandbox assholes who don't let us view the entire map
Yeah.
by zooming out far enough. Fuck you. I want to see the whole thing. Just saying.
I mean, you could just take it and tattoo it on the back of a dog that I need to shave in game. That'd be fine with me.
I mean, I have like you've seen them. I have like 4 or 5 map dogs just running around our house right now.
yeah. Do you know what I'm referencing, Sean?
I have no idea what
It's
you're
Prison
referencing.
Break. The guy had the map on tattooed on his back. But since
That's just a thing I do. I don't know.
yeah, since it's not a prison, it's a dog in olden times.
I never got in this TV show.
Yeah.
Never got into that.
I never watched a single episode, but I'm aware of the plot device.
No, I didn't
More
know
aware than the rest of us.
that. Yeah.
I don't have a soundboard. I would have been playing crickets.
How many
That would have
seasons
been really
is there?
hurtful.
Too many. Don't bother.
What?
Don't bother.
After the first season, they get out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
then they have to break back in. That's season 2.
Okay, I'm like, why is it called Prison Break if they're out already?
Oh,
But I don't know.
because you're
Anyway.
breaking in.
Yeah.
Prison breaking and entering.
What they need for the next season, whichever number it is to just get a fleet of wrecking balls and construction vehicles and just literally break a prison.
That's pretty good. I figured the next season. It's been canceled for I think a decade. I think the next season they should just have him like sitting in front of a mirror, working through his inner demons, like break his inside prison.
His mental prison.
Yeah. That would work really well for you, Tyler Durden.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I a sociopath? All right, Frank, please continue. Dude, you are not rolling with these punches today, man. Usually, I've given you so many opportunities to call me an idiot, to make fun of how dumb I am. I've made countless dumb statements, and you were just not picking up. Did you get too drunk last night?
No, I barely drank at all last night. You're doing such a good job at it that it's pointless for me to criticize. You're just displaying it on your
stupidity
own.
speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Jake, did you remember to plug Frank in last night?
Frank's,
think his battery's
Frank's good. Frank is just fine. I
Frank
plugged him real hard.
Yeah, Frank may have played a little too much Assassin's Creed Odyssey and then didn't sleep that much because that game is so much fun.
You said my stupidity speaks for itself, but Sean's hardly said anything.
Cricket.
Fucking guy.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck
That
you.
was a good one.
Cricket.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Cricket.
Yeah.
I need some of the girls. I need Liesler, the planer being, and Genevieve back here to stick up for me because you guys are bullies.
It's just so fun.
I don't know. I really hope we would all gang up on Sean,
No.
because we've been making fun of
No.
each other for years.
No,
but
no,
one
no,
time I
Bill.
go after him, you're like,
Bill, this is episode 55 of this show, and you
Yeah.
haven't figured out that you're the punching bag?
but see, the thing is that's dropped off for like the last 10 episodes. I remember one episode I thought Frank was dying because I set him up so much.
Here's the thing. What's happening is you're trying to redirect to Sean, and we're calling you bullshit.
What?
Which is actually inviting it for us to beat up
Yeah.
on you instead. Because Sean's the guest here, and we all have manners.
He's less like a guest and he's less like a guest and more like a critter that gets in your attic. And you're like fucking hitting it with a broom.
Look,
and-
you invited him, all right?
Well,
It would have gone completely like unnoticed and under the bridge, except you keep bringing it up. So now
Well.
it's just worse for you.
I guess we can agree to disagree. Somebody said to me the other day, we can disagree to disagree, and I wanted to punch him through the phone. I was like, what is
Oh my
this?
God.
Are you clever? Are you funny?
You smart guy.
Yeah, are you cheeky? You fucking... Ooh. I hope you're hungry for my nucle sandwich.
Nukel.
Yep, nucle.
radioactive.
So what questions do you guys have about this game? I'm interested to hear opinions on it.
Not the same game, but side question. Didn't they have another game in the AC series? Something to do with French Revolution?
Yeah, that was
Like,
Unity, I think, and
That's
it was
what
garbage.
was. Yeah.
But that was
okay.
a long time ago. That was like 4 years ago, I want to say.
Oh God. Okay.
There was Unity, and then the Industrial Revolution one
Well, there were
in Britain.
two.
That one I
Yeah,
remember, yeah.
there was one before that
Syndicate.
one too. Yeah, Syndicate was the one there, and that actually went past the Industrial Revolution, if I remember right. It went all the way up to World War One.
Oh, wow.
I think.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never played it because I saw how buggy it was, and I was like, I get enough bugs in my life with all these Bethesda games.
Yeah. I feel like there was another one that was somewhere in the 19th century as well, in addition to Syndicate, or
There were so
close
many
to it.
little
Yeah.
stupid spin-off games.
I hate to
So-
be like a broken record, but if they port this to PC and allow modding on it, it sounds like it's going to get wicked cool.
I think they are porting it to PC.
So I think it's the whatever one's in Egypt. Is there one?
Origins.
Origins. Didn't they have like I know they took away like the one game that took away the crossbow because they wanted to be historically accurate. In Origins they throw in like gods and like supernatural elements to it.
I'll be honest, I didn't really play Origins.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they do a little bit. I have Origins. My roommate bought it, who we share games on Xbox with. Nothing about it really drew me in.
Okay. Well, my question is, do they have supernatural elements like the mythos of in this game, the new one, at all?
Very, very subtly. So
Yeah,
one of the
okay.
things that you do is
They
you
don't
go
have
to
actual gods or
not that I've seen.
Yeah,
although I
okay.
did see something a little strange on the one place that I was exploring that seemed like it had like glowing metal beams. I guess somebody crashed a plane into them.
okay.
I mean, there have been like supernatural elements to it.
Yeah.
They're really more like sci-fi, but whatever that old adage is that like technology sufficiently advanced will appear no different than magic, if I butchered that. And that kind of goes back all the way to the earliest games with just like the magical MacGuffins you're chasing around against the Templars the whole time.
MacGuff the crime dog?
No.
Well, I want to say I'm saying this. I think you do fight like the spirit of Anubis or something in Origins, like in the desert, like something crazy like that. Like it's actually a big dog.
Didn't in Origins
God.
you got fucking you
not
see
100%
hallucinations and shit?
Yeah, maybe it's a hallucination. But I'm not 100%. That's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
I didn't play it, so I just don't know.
I do know in Odyssey you can get these. Who's the goddess of like beauty? Athena? Is that her?
Some of that.
Beauty, yes.
Yeah. So you can get these cool glasses of hers. They're like wrap around like old people wear in Florida, and everybody you look at gets much more beautiful. Like they get bigger boobies and fatter butts, and they turn into Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Frank is aggressive.
And they're super duper muscular and strong and beautiful. And at least that's what happens when I play it. So
Great. You're delusional.
that's pretty magical,
Oh yeah.
right? That's godly power.
Some God's power.
That story has converted me to the faith, Bill.
One of the
We got a religion going. There's two of us.
Yeah.
There's two of us. Fuck yeah.
The faith in Anubis.
one of the first quests that you do, you hunt down the Shroud of Penelope. Penelope was the wife of Odysseus at the palace of Odysseus on the island of Ithaca, which is, a place in the Greek islands.
Uh-huh.
So it's like kind of something that
Okay.
is mythological, but not necessarily supernatural, right?
Yeah.
Do you need to crawl out of hell for 3 games in a row?
What?
Do you need to crawl out of hell for 3 games in a row in a series? And are you an anti-hero who murdered your own family and blames everybody else? Because if you can't do that, then I'm not
Remember that time
interested.
you weren't talking about God of War?
What? All I'm saying,
Bill, you need to crawl back into hell.
What?
Back from whence you came,
Yeah.
foul demon.
God of War is a good game with bad characters. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a good game with so far good characters.
Do you have any like compatriots? Do you have any like, or do you have any familiars? You got a little womp womp dog,
You got an eagle named Icarus,
Oh, that's kind of.
and you can use it. It's a drone. It's essentially a drone that you can use.
Can I
to spot
rename
shit
Can I rename Icarus to Benjamin Franklin?
if you want?
America.
They already put him in a game.
They did.
AS3. AC3.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I gotta say, like they seem to have knocked it out of the park, and I'm glad they took this direction with the series. It was old, plain and simple. I heard Origins was a good game. If
It
you
was
like
the
Assassin's
same
Creed,
game, like literally
10 times in a row.
games in a row.
Yeah.
I'm pretty amazed that they put out a big blockbuster with that one in Egypt. That's Origins, right?
Yes.
And like it was a big production. They advertised the shit out of it, and I guess it really only took one. I'm amazed that they did the redirection without like a series of major failures, right? Like you'd think that they would keep cramming it out for 3 iterations. The series would be dead, and they'd be like, oh, Jesus.
I think they did cram it out for 3 iterations, and it may not have flopped as big as everybody expects, but it certainly did not sell as great as as their predecessors. So it really started to flounder, I think, for the past couple of ones. I mean, Unity was reviewed as just straight trash.
Really
A bad game.
Mm-hmm. Syndicate had some bad stuff said about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Syndicate was not that great, and Origins was like, everybody's like, yeah, it's like a decent game, but you know, we've seen that they could make, like, they basically just remade all of the good ones that they did in the past, and I think everybody caught on to the idea that they're not making anything new, and there's no compelling reason to buy a $60 plus game, because once again, big complaint I have about it, the base game, $60. Of course, we expect that. They've got the deluxe edition, which comes with, like, from what I saw, a couple of cosmetic skins for $80, and then, like, an ultimate edition for $120. You know, I'm not spending that much money on. I bought the base edition and I'm very happy with it. But you know, they're expecting to make increasing revenue off this, right? And it's just there's no compelling reason for it. There's no value proposition there.
My one of the guys I work with pre-ordered the new Smash Bros coming out for Switch, and he got like the deluxe edition, which is like $130 or something. And I was like, Jesus. And he's like, yeah, well, you also get a pro controller, and the pro controllers are like $70. So I think it was $140. So he got the game for $60, he got the controller for $70, and then he got like a bunch of art shit for an extra $10. I was like, that's actually not a bad deal. If you throw a controller in there, I don't mind it. But Sean, why did you fall out of playing the series? Was it and it's sort of this same thing over and over again? And do you think this will pull you back in?
I don't know why. I loved the third game. Not the third game. The series of games that it was a I love that series.
It's the best, far and away the high point.
Loved it. Yeah. And then the only reason I really stuck through with the next couple of games is because the Pirate Black Flag.
Yeah.
It had
The Ezio series and Black Flag are the, in my opinion, and I think the prevailing opinion,
right?
The peaks
of
the series.
I found that to be almost the same combat-wise, but I liked it, the fact that it threw in the ship battles. Like, that was a new aspect to it. But then when it got back to, like, I was looking at Syndicate, like, there was nothing. It went back to just, you're on land, you're doing the same thing. You're just assassinating. Same game, different skin. Yeah. And I just, no interest. The last game I played was Rogue, which was the one right after Black Flag. And spoiler alert, it was just Black Flag again, but in the Atlantic, northeast of the U.S. I don't even think I heard that.
Were you out crabbing?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was Black Flag again. I couldn't tell you the plot. I couldn't tell you a single character's name. I couldn't even tell you exactly the time frame of years it takes place in. I don't even remember. I can tell you, it was just a reskin of Black Flag.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
And I actually played it more than Black Flag. I almost 100%ed it. But I mean, it was every bit as fun.
Right.
Less memorable.
Right.
And then I was just like, they announced, I think, Unity after that, and then Syndicate was on the way. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm good. Yeah. I've had my fill.
Yeah, and there was one where you play as Connor in
the 3 in the American Revolution.
3, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When you're the Native American.
Yeah.
Not a bad game.
It tried some new things.
I was disappointed in that one.
It was a little buggy and a little, like, weirdly slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. They tried some things that I would have loved for them to go farther with.
I mean, it was the introduction of the ship stuff, right?
Yeah.
Nowhere near as fleshed out, but it was almost like a deep side/mini game within it. Then Black Flag improved upon pretty tremendously. They did, they started having you hunt more.
Mm-hmm.
They fleshed out the crafting systems a bit more. I thought it was kind of interesting. I think you wind up a Templar by the end of it. Or no, one of the games you start as one and wind up the other.
Yeah.
Or no, that's right. Your dad in the third one is a Templar, and you wind up siding with the assassins.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was cool to like be in that time frame. That's where the one where Benjamin Franklin's involved. There's it was a cool setting, but it just missed the mark in a few subtle ways that kind of stacked. Which relative to the rest of the series, it didn't really have the grounds for being excused.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. I think I'm with you.
And the other thing is, I do love like you were saying, they could take off prior history, and sprinkle their own spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Black Flag for that because it brought in Blackbeard and all that. I love
all those big names. From
I also love pirates and like that whole thing from like the 17th and 18th century with the New World developing and the Caribbean. Like when I was in the Bahamas, I had to go to every pirate fort that I could find on that island, and I loved every second of it. It was awesome.
So do you think this will pull you back into the series, Sean?
I mean, I'm already gonna try it.
Well, Sean and everybody else in the room, because you all have sort of fallen out of the AC thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sold.
It's intriguing.
So
I'm not going to pay the full price for it. I'll wait.
I don't blame you. Yeah. So the other main thing that I think is really interesting, and so far the reviews that I've read of it have really not factored in, and I think it's because no one's played it enough to see it, is all of the decisions. You have a lot of decisions to make on a lot of different quests about letting people live, treating them nicely, all that stuff. The game says that those decisions factor into the story in ways both seen and unseen. So you might let somebody live, like I said, when you first start out, you get attacked by 2 goons, you knock them out. You can choose to kill them or let them live. A way that you see the fallout from that is if you kill them, apparently, you can proceed to like the first main story quest unhindered. But if you let them live, they will ambush you like 2 minutes later on the way to that. Yeah.
I love that being a cool guy backfires right in your face.
Yeah, right from the beginning. All right. And supposedly there will be things that is a very obvious, you let those guys live, and then it very well calls out you let them live and now they ambush you.
Oh,
right?
you remember us from 5 minutes ago?
Yeah.
We're coming for you now.
So
that was great.
Yeah.
That's how they talk in Greek.
But there are supposedly ways that you might not be that something might happen to you, and the only way to trigger that event sequence is to do something like 3 or 4 missions ago. And you don't know that that's what triggered it, but that's what it would be. So it creates a lot of replayability in that sense.
A distinctly RPG feature.
Yes.
So can you say I choose the full-on assassin I see in the shadows? Can you interchange it throughout the game? Okay.
The skills and ability points are awarded every level, and it seems like you can get up to about level 50-ish. It seems to be where the campaign will take you, because they break each area of the map up into levels, right? So the beginning levels like level 1 through 6, and the next place that you go to is like level 7 through 9, and up till I think I saw one of the ending areas is level 58 through 60. Right. And I think that's it. So I don't know how many abilities there are total. Each ability you can upgrade a couple of times. So you certainly can't max everything out.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can definitely, it seems like you could definitely choose 2 solid ways of playing, and not be, underpowered in any particular one of them. Especially because you do get a lot of your power from your equipment. So you can equip, you've got a weapon, a bow, a helmet, chest plate, leggings, and bracers. And all of those pieces of equipment are upgradable and have a level of their own. And you can have different, they call them engravings on them, and they come in different qualities of common, rare, epic, and legendary, and that will determine essentially how good they are within them. So you can get a rare breastplate, will have 2 bonuses on it, so it might give you plus health and plus damage of the warrior. So they break up the damage into different types. If you use your bow, that's hunter damage. If you use a main weapon like a sword or a spear or a battle axe, that's warrior damage. And if you're using your dagger blades and all that, so you don't have the retracting blades, which is also a main change, right? But you do have daggers, and that's your assassin damage and also assassinating people and whatnot. So each different piece of equipment can give you a bonus to a different type of that damage, or both, or health, or total armor, or stuff like that. Pretty much any in-game stat. And it's in the beginning, it's kind of a pain because you level up so quickly, and the equipment varies enough on a level basis in terms of power that you really got to keep up with it, like micromanage it a little too much to make sure that you're powerful enough to keep up with it. But once you hit like level 5, it seems like that slows down because you're not leveling up every 5 or 10, 15 minutes. So, but yeah, deep elements to that, and compared to where I expected them to be, and really overall.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. The story seems to be very good too so far. Good characters, good voice acting, everything that you would expect.
All right, I'm pretty interested to see what the rest of y'all think when you pick it up. I'll go the patient gamer route. I'm probably going to try to play through the whole series before I get there.
I would recommend against that. There's really no need to play a lot of them.
I think you could do like notable
Yeah.
things. I think the first game, if you want to start from the beginning, the first game is good enough. Aspects of it are a slog, right? It definitely had a lot of upward potential that was then realized in the Ezio trilogy, which starts with Assassin's Creed 2.
It's me or you.
3, if you want to check out the time frame, see what they did with it. Black Flag, definitely. From there,
yeah, you can pretty much skip all of them.
yeah.
I don't know, that first game, you don't even have to play. In my opinion, you can play the first couple missions and that's it, because it is literally the same exact thing over and over and over again. And it got so old. I had to put it down, and I came back like months later to finish it, because you go, you investigate, you like stalk whoever, get information, and you find them, and then assassinate, and then same exact thing. There's no change. And the other thing that pissed me off that game, it's just, this is my fault. I was going for all the achievements there. I have like one achievement I need, and I will never get it because I'll never.
Is it the fucking flags?
Yes, I'm missing one flag.
There are 1 million fucking flags to collect.
Yes, and then the one city has 100, and I have 99 out of 100. And I have no idea where that flag is.
Yep.
I'm not.
You gotta watch all the videos for all the flags in that town. Go through, retrace your steps till you find it.
They went way. They started out hog wild on these idiot collectibles, and it never went away.
Yeah.
All they did was change. Like the first game, it's fucking flags and a couple others, but the flags are far and away the biggest one.
Yeah.
As they went on, they split it up into different ones. My Black Flag, they had a decent balance because the shanties were separate from like the upgrades, which were separate from, I think there was like some iteration of flags or feathers or something. Each one was its own train, and if the rewards for getting one of them didn't seem appealing, fine, skip it unless you're an achievement whore. But yeah, the first game is really annoying in that respect. It hadn't hit its stride. I'll say that. I think it was an interesting timeline in the Middle East in like the early thousands. I think maybe late pre turn of the first millennium. I forget exactly. Like Crusade time. It's in the Crusades, and it does set a lot of like that basic lore in place. They reference it pretty often in the Ezio trilogy afterward, and but after that, I mean, if you just want a decent cross-section, I already said it. The trilogy of Ezio games were all really good, and Black Flag are really quality representative samples of what that initial game type was all about.
I wanna sum up with how different this game is from its predecessors in saying that most of the time I forget that you are a like monkey that can climb on anything, including like sheer walls, which is the hallmark of the Assassin's Creed game, that platforming element where you have to like find creative ways to get around and hide from people and all that shit. The majority of the time, I forget that exists. I just think you're a dude in ancient Greece running around playing quests however you want to do them.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's really pulling me in. All right. Thank you for that. Real quick, before we go to break. Sean, you've been playing Stardew Valley. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I stopped a little bit. I have like 40 hours in there.
Well, what is it?
You start at this farm that your, I don't know, family member left or whatever, but it's like all run down because it hasn't been touched, and it's basically you just do what you want. You can fish, plant, go harvest.
It's like the modern Harvest Moon, right?
Essentially, yeah. You upgrade your tools. There's a whole town that you can have relationships with. There's someone that you can buy animals from. You can like upgrade to have a coop, a barn. But I got through 1 year and it's farming. And once it's summer again, it's the same thing over again. So I have 40 hours in it and I haven't played in a while, but it's fun.
Think you'll go back to it?
It's one of those games where I'll go back to it for like a week and then I'll put it down for a while. I can't sit there and play it every day.
A little too repetitive.
Does it have a real-time clock? Like, do you have to check in every day?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because Animal Crossing was like that.
Oh, yeah. No, this one doesn't, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because I see you pop up on Steam every so often playing that game.
It's fun. But, I mean, once you, like... They have a community... One of the things going on is they have a community center. And, like, that's one of the main little side quests is, like, you have to collect so much of this item, so much of this item, and once you do that, it improves a certain room. And once you complete the whole room, like that's like the end goal. And I did a few rooms, and you get rewards, but like nothing really. The reward is like you have to use mine carts now, so you get to fast travel. But there's nothing. That's it. There's nothing like more rewarding than that.
So if somebody was interested in buying it, how much would you recommend they spend?
Well, first off, how much is it now? I forget. I think it's like $15.
Yeah. Would you tell somebody to buy it for $15?
I got 40 hours out of it. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We're going to hit this second break. We're going to come back with our wrap-up section of this week's Steam sales. Catch you on the flip side. Welcome back, everybody, to our Steam section. Lucky for all listeners today, we're doing a show earlier in the day, so you've got like 4 more hours to get on these sales before they close tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I think the last time we were on here, we talked about the Total War franchise being on sale. Looks like it still is. Total War Warhammer. The Warhammer IP being really, really popular. I think
kind of its own click.
Yeah, I mean, people play that. There's a Warhammer 40K miniature world, right? People actually buy and paint miniatures and they fight that way.
I think they have a tabletop game, at least one.
I think there's
there's like books,
a movie coming out.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's
75% off. Game listed $60. I don't know how long that's been out, but the Total War series has always been satisfying. And if you're at all interested in the Warhammer IP, I think that might be a way to go. Sean, this might you're into RTS games, right? Real-time strategy? Like Age of Empires?
I mean, I play Faster Light.
Faster Light's a little bit more of a roguelike. Have you ever played any of the Total War series?
No, I have not.
You know what? I really enjoyed Rome Total War and Rome Total War 2, I think it was. You still manage cities as hubs to generate resources and units, but it's not nearly as in-depth as Civilization in city management, and you actually do battlefield unit placement and direction and stuff. I think you'd really dig this, and for $15, Probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
What else we got? What the hell is Stardock? Another publisher weekend.
Not a big fan of these publisher weekends. I don't know why. It just seems like there's really never too much. Like I'll see a publisher weekend and there might be like one thing. Oh, hey, look, this is the company that made Offworld.
Yeah, Offworld Trading Company, 50% off at $9.99. That I think is just about the right price for that game.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, $10 seems pretty appropriate. What did we spend on it? I think we actually got it cheaper than this. I think we got it for $8.
You did.
Yeah.
I bought it a couple days later because I forgot about it, as I do with all Steam sales. And I bought it for like $22. I'm not upset about it, but like I said, we both played the game and it was definitely good at what it did. But I felt like there should have been more, even for that affordable price. I mean, I'd rather have it be $60 and have a full game. The guy he was the guy who led Civ 4, I think, development, and I expected more. It wasn't terrible though. It's worth $9.99. I'll tell you this much: I played through the game. I aptly beat a number of challenges. I didn't beat them all. I haven't touched it in months, so I got my thing out of it. What do they got here? Sins of a Solar Empire. Now that is a title I have been watching for forever. Even before it started to come out. I think it's pretty good. 75% off. Sins of Solar Empire Rebellion. Man, it is a game I've been wanting to dip my toes into forever, but it's another one of those clear strategy games. There's going to be a big learning curve. I think whenever I would pick it up, I would need to shut down my other interest if I wanted to be good at it this century. Right, a lot of unit management, a lot of things to know. It's hard to jump into a game this in depth and casually and be any good at it this year. But it definitely looks like a quality installment. Maybe Rebellion is the next iteration, but 75% off again at $9.99. When did this come out? 2012? No. Okay, so this is pretty old. Boy, I really missed the boat. Has anybody in the room heard about Sins of a Solar Empire at all?
I have not. Nope.
That's surprising.
I would probably like this game. How much is it again? $9.99?
Yeah.
It's a strong candidate right there.
Yeah.
It is intimidating to get into a strategy game like that where there's so much to learn. It's like intimidating might not even be the best word, but overwhelming in general. Just daunting. Daunting is the best one. It's like I know that eventually I'm going to be really good and really interested in this game because once I master everything, it's so addicting to try and just maximize what you know and turn it into real in-game results, but it takes so long to get there, and it's like, oh man, I know exactly what it takes to be a master of something like this, and it's tough to work up the willpower to do it.
Right. What else? They got some cool titles on here I've never heard of. We scroll down. Let's see. Galactic Civilizations. I've kept an eye on this series too. I don't know a whole lot about it, but this is one of my favorite things about these developer sales. You can get Galactic Civilizations 1 for $2, Galactic Civilizations 2 for $4, and the third one seems to be the one that's priced more normally, $9 or whatever. If 1 and 2 don't do it for you, I mean, you got to cut a little bit of slack because they're older games, so it's probably not going to be as smooth or whatever. But if they hold up now, you're probably going to like 3 as long as they don't go in any crazy direction. I mean, you'll still have to do some research or whatever, but you can dip your toes in a series for $2 and get the ultimate editions, the golden editions, whatever. So this is pretty enticing. I quite like the look of that. There seems to be a shitload of DLC for Galactic Civilizations 2, and that is a bit overwhelming. So, but yeah, I'm surprised that you don't like this. I'm sort of not a huge fan of these publisher sales because there's so many options, and it seems to be like overwhelming options and kind of dog shit. Like there's like 90 titles, 85 of them look terrible. But you can find something good in there. That's how we found out Oh My Gore. Hey, Jake, can you go back to the previous one? There was something we didn't touch on. Mega Baseball, 40% off. So this looks... Okay, everything's already really stylized. Is this like a grown-up version of Backyard Baseball?
with bobbleheads.
Yeah, I can see by default everybody's got the big head coat on. Oh, you just ripped a baseball right into the pitcher's head. This is weird.
It's a cartoony baseball game that's semi-realistically stylized, but with liberties.
This looks like
liberties.
It has the potential to be a lot of fun. But I would need somebody to tell me that it's fun. A couple somebodies to tell me it's fun before I really give it a shot.
Yeah. Not if you like baseball, it's probably worth looking into. But at $18 for someone who is at best a passive fan of the sport, no, for me.
Simulation. What? All right. The Crew 2.
$33.
All mixed reviews. $33.
Looks like a Forza clone.
Yeah, I'm already not. Oh shit! You drove a car off the edge of a cliff and it turned into an airplane.
Neat.
Forza Horizon 4 just came out. It's on Game Pass. If you're interested in something like this, if you have Game Pass, which you should, if you have an Xbox, play Forza Horizon 4. It's better than this.
All right.
This looks like a Matchbox / Hot Wheels type of game, but with like realistic graphics on the vehicles themselves.
I don't know.
Like jumping through loop-de-loops and transforming the type of vehicle you have, like on the fly. Doing fucking 50-50 grinds on a dirt bike on like a rail in some park in a city. It's a realistically styled cartoon is what I'm getting out of it. And it's probably pretty fun. Looks like you do shit that I don't think Forza necessarily would cater to.
Yeah, but it's $33.
Yeah, this looks like it looks realistic, but it'll handle underwhelmingly.
It's kind of striking me in the way that one game did on one of these Steam sales. Do you guys remember where it was like all the vehicles were Lego?
Yeah,
but all like the environments and the explosions and whatnot were like hyper realistic. And I was like, then why build anything out of Lego bricks? It just made me question who it was for. Mm-hmm. Plus, it was at a poor price point, and I was like, what?
If you are 12 years old and your main source of calories is mozzarella sticks, you will love this game.
Yeah.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah. This is bad news. June 26, 2018, it came out. It's got nothing but mixed reviews, and it still wants $32. Hard pass. Dead Cells. I've watched some play this game. It looks dope. Everything's very positive. It's under $20. Came out this year. Yeah. Came out in August. This is
wow.
Yeah, it's still 2018. This is
it's like a side scroller.
This game's worth it. This is a dope game.
$20.
I mean, if you're into roguelikes, which I think all of us kind of are, this game is this is what watching this playthrough and something else is what made me interested in the roguelike genre to begin with. I don't think you can go wrong with this for 20 boners.
Looks like a cross of Dark Souls and Mega Man.
Sean, you heard anything about Dead Cells?
No, I'm loving this video.
Yeah.
$20.
It's interesting. At $20 is kind of on the border of what I would consider for this, but
same. I could see how it would appeal to someone who likes this style of game, though.
Yeah. If I hadn't heard so much consistent good stuff and seen
it does have good reviews. Like $15, and I'd probably be 100% sold.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm sure it's a great game. It's just it's tough for me to shell out $20 for something like that.
Art style is
because I'm sure that there are a lot of people that will play that game for 50 hours. I think I might struggle to put in more than the 15 or 20.
Yeah. All right, Killing Floor 2. Shit. Halloween Horrors Monster. I can't read
one of these games. The 48 names for some reason.
48.
This is another one. I'm not a big fan of Deluxe Edition and all the other stuff going. It just seems like they're locking. They could be locking more stuff.
But if you fucking buy the whole Super Goober pack, it's only $200. You save $200. Buy Tripwire complete bundle.
That's a developer bundle.
Yeah.
But the Killing Floor.
What is Killing Floor? Is this?
I'm trying to get a video to load, but it doesn't.
Nothing wants to do it. 6-player co-op, Zed's slaughtering mayhem, and now 12-player versus survival mode. So it's a Zambambarino killer.
Yeah. Left 4 Dead clone.
Co-op.
Looks like there's good graphics. It looks like, but I don't know. I don't really think I need another one of these.
This would 100% come down to handling mechanics for me, and if it really would end up being a party game that we'd all want to play together. And I got to tell you, I don't think the crowd in here is going to try to get together and play this game. So I'm not going to shell out the $10. Neat stuff. Look, it's, I mean, some sort of steampunk looking space land. Steamland. Well, there you go.
Looks like there's different environments in which these zombies are.
Oh, scary monsters with
There's
big
a blimp.
teethers.
Can't go wrong with a blimp.
Big twofers.
Anyway.
No.
I'm kind of not really feeling anything in particular.
No, nothing's too hot this week. Shit. Oh, shit. Transport flyer.
Why do these change all of a sudden?
I don't know.
There's
What's
2 more now.
Yeah.
Transport Flyer, mostly positive.
Is a railroad-focused tycoon game. I am in. Let's see. Mostly positive. It says railroads, but now it's showing me aeroplanes. Let's see. It's a railroad-focused tycoon game. Players start in 1850 and build up a thriving transport company. As an emerging transport tycoon, the player constructs stations, airports, harbors, and makes money by connecting areas requiring transport services. Build up your own empire. Ooh, this is a pretty weak description. All right, simulation, management, economy, trains. I played Sid Meier's Railroads. I played Railroad Tycoon like 3 and 4, if those exist, and I really, really enjoyed them. I never got very good at them, but I liked them a lot. I've been waiting for a newer installation to come out that I know about to give me that train management feel. I fucking love trains, and I'm adult now, so I might actually get good at the game, especially since I know Frank, and he's so frustratingly diligent in researching at how to become good at games outside of just being good at them. So I feel this, peer pressure. Oh, dude.
1750.
But if it's really good, I fucking love trains though, bro. So I might be ready for that. All right. And what's the Gorgonzola we saw?
It went away.
Gorgo Globe. That's the one that looked pretty interesting.
Gorgoa, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Gone for some reason.
What? Brett, wait, can you go to yeah. Oh my god.
There you go.
Gorgoa. Okay, this is the last one. Apparently there's a lot of shit on sale. Gorgo, 45% off, $8.24. Good price point.
Overwhelmingly positive.
I am overwhelmed by how positive everybody is about.
It's just so positive.
Gorogoa. Puzzle.
It is a puzzle game of
Adventure, indie, casual. Oh, it's good casual. It's for you, Sean. Hand drawn. Okay. It's an elegant evolution of the puzzle game. It's told through a beautifully story design illustrated by Jason Roberts. Winner of debut. Oh, Chris, you know what? This sounds like something that might be up your alley because
I was definitely thinking the same thing.
You were looking at that game like Iron Giants or something, and it was that they got that one artist involved. Do you remember what we were talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were really into the art to game thing.
Yeah.
This might be up G's alley too. Only $8.24, 45% off.
I might throw in for that.
A year old, but it's got great reviews. It's got 3,400 really good reviews. Definitely interesting. It's a nice change up from the grungy style in a lot of these indie games. I mean, this is all lightly colored. It looks like pencil drawings on paper. If there is any merit to its puzzling ability, and it's not held up completely by the idea that it's drawn, this will be a good game for $8.24. I'm confident. And with so many overwhelmingly positive remarks, I imagine it's got to be. Anybody else have thoughts on this one?
Looks interesting.
Yeah, I would consider playing this.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's make our call here. We'll start with Chris. You want to start us this week?
Yeah, I'll do. Actually, I really do like Gorgoa. That looks really nice. I like the that hand drawn pencil thing they had going on. There was a couple cool things where like the pictures were being like you looks like you had to put like other pictures on top of the other ones to like and make a more depth of a picture. I thought that was really cool. Like it definitely looks interesting, and it's a good price. I like the price.
All right, so we'll go the other direction this time. I think I'm gonna get that train simulator game. I'm so hungry for years for a good train tycoon type sim. I'm sure there's out there that I don't know about. I think I'm going to pick that up. sort of interested in Galactic Civ or Sins of Solar Empire, but like Frank said, that's sort of, you know how much it's going to take to get good. I might pick up the first Warhammer Total War. I think there's Total War 2 Warhammer or something like that. If there is, and there's a cheap version of the first one, like $5 or $8 or something, I'll get that too. If not, I'll just get the train thing.
I am quite underwhelmed this week. I think I'm going to default to Gorogoa just because it's the most interesting of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'll actually pick it up, though.
What about you, Sean? What are you thinking?
Gorogoa looked interesting. I mean, I looked at the Dead Cell, what it was.
Yeah.
It's expensive. I'll have to research it more, but I really liked Roguelike.
Yeah. If
it's anything like it, then I might pick that up.
100% you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
Sins of Solar Empire for me. I don't think I'll pick it up because I just picked up Assassin's Creed. So between that and Forza Horizon 4, which I just downloaded, and I got to play Tomb Raider more. And what else do I have? Oh, Red Dead Redemption coming out soon.
Oh my God.
It's like, I don't know when I'm going to have time to play all these games.
We're going to have a big old circle jerk on that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I won't pick it up, but it's the most interesting. That's what I would pick up.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Sean, for jumping on to the podcast for the first time in 53 episodes. It was nice to have you back as one of the founding fathers.
Father,
I crave cheese. As always, stick with us for more interesting stuff. As you can hear, we were inching our way towards more good content. We'll get there. Oh, my God. As always, don't forget, cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby. Boom, ba ba, booby doo, boop, boop, ba doo, boop, boo.
That gunfire groovy.
Booby doo, hop, bop, ba doo, boom, bop, skibbity, bop, doo, ba doo, wop, hop, hop, hop.
Oh, yeah.